Hello everyone, welcome back to the Le Mans Classic. Well, we had a fantastic day yesterday with lots of racing. They have continued to race through the night in these six different tiers of racing. In fact, the Plateau 4 group, that is mainly the cars, the GT40s, cars of the mid-60s, are just finishing their race now, and they have finished all three races. We're going to try and compute for you the actual overall result, but that means we have to add 3 times together. But definitely GT40s first, second and third, of that I've no doubt. I'm pretty sure that Jim Farley, who is the CEO of Ford, has finished third overall, which is just an absolutely incredible drive by the 60-year-old Detroit executive. Great drive from him. People, as you see, asleep. Lots of things happened over the night. Alterations there in the paddock. Some of these guys have been working up all night. Yes, hello everyone, I'm Andrew Marriott. Peter Snowden will be joining me in just a moment or two, and then we hope to recruit various drivers to join us up here in the commentary position, and we sit above the end pit at Le Mans and have a pretty good view of this huge crowd. They reckon the best part of 200,000 people have flocked here. Everywhere you look, there's fantastic racing cars. There's a D-type just going through. So anyway, this third Plateau 4 race has just finished with the Portuguese driver Ferrao coming home first in that. In fact, they are on the last lap at the moment, so we may just pick that up. Breitmeyer in second, Farley in third. Nicky Pastorelli, the former champ car driver, in a magnificent Ferrari 250 GTO from 1964. Nicky, I think he'll probably finish up in the top 5. Then we got various Cobras. We had a good result from the Cottingham Stanley Cobra, the light blue one that Jenson Button drove last season at Goodwood. I think that's probably going to finish in the top 10. As I say, just on the last lap, and then we will pick it up really as we start with Plateau 5, and that will be then their last race. Morgan getting a little bit of fettling there. Lots of different British cars from across, well, the best part of 7 decades here. In fact, there's a little Morgan conclave there. Cars waiting, you see. We're going to have lots of Lola T70s in this next race. Chevron B18, B16s, B19s. Some more GT40s actually, because the split of these groups goes across the run of GT40s in racing. So the earlier ones are in the race that's just finishing now, but we'll still see some more. But there, GT40, the Haas, the 2 Dutch father and son, David and Ollie. Just saw Ollie putting his earplugs in, so he's certainly going to start it. Whether Dad David also drives it, we're not sure. You can carve this up quite a lot of different ways. So you have to make a mandatory pit stop, and you can either change driver or not change driver. You can have 3 drivers. One did the first race, one did the race of the night, another one does the final race. Or you can, each race, put both drivers in, and so on. It's flexible, as they say. Jaguar engine there, is that right? Must be the D-type, yes. C-types here as well, of course. Oh, I think it is a C-type, you see. Those spectators, some might have been up all night. So, getting ready then for this Plateau 5. Let Peter just get his headset on. Been out beavering the paddock trying to get information. So I think we calculated there's up to 600 odd racing cars here, probably 1,000 drivers, so obviously can't speak to all of them. I think we've picked out some news stories already this morning. And Snowy, you've been out there. We had a lot of fun yesterday, and now we've just had the last race from Plateau 4, so we're trying to work out who actually won it overall, and you've got to do the sum for that, but I think the Portuguese guy Ferrao won that one. I seem to remember he won the first one that we commentated on. Jim Farley, we were talking about, got a third there, and I think he definitely, well actually he just finished, he got second in that race. I think he might be third overall. We've got to wait and see the sum yet.
Well, he was third in the first round of that, wasn't he?
He was. We don't know what happened in the night though yet.
No, exactly.
So anyway.
Well, I hate to do technical analysis, but I've been around the paddock. I mean, looking at broken half shafts, radiators, cylinder heads, all not attached to the cars where they should be.
Yes, that doesn't help.
No, it doesn't. Well, it does, because they're taking them apart and making them
work
right,
again. Fair enough. Yeah.
Morgan's with a cooling system with its radiator and bits and water pump all over the paddock.
Oh, right.
But it'll be back apparently. Talbot Largo's with fan switches that work. We'll talk about Michael Birch later.
Yeah, we'll talk about that later when we see that earliest
Aston Martin half shaft's broken.
Yeah.
Repaired, of course, but 2.5 hours through the night, lying under a car.
Yeah.
Hey, so as I said to the mechanic involved, it's not what I want to be doing at my age. I said, but at least it's not raining.
Well, I believe it's been raining at Silverstone, and everybody got very wet at British Grand Prix qualifying. So, yeah.
Bit of a not quite the stranglehold on that result there, David. David.
Andrew, I am.
Andrew, you are Andrew, yes. One thing. I've just been talking to David. Sorry, Andrew. My apologies. So GT40s first and second on the podium, but the Shelby Cobra Daytona up into third place there, and then another couple of GT40s. Something 250 now. The 250 GTO was Nicky Pastorelli was outside of that yesterday, wasn't it? Just seeing, I'm just looking a bit. That looks like
that's Tessie, isn't it?
That's Tessie. Is that Andrew Hatton? No, he did used to drive.
Sean Lynn, was it?
Yeah, parked in the woods.
Yeah,
behind the barriers. So obviously,
and you have to
terminal.
To explain, you have to do well in all three races.
Yes.
If you stop in one, that's it. And something happened on the last lap here because Breitmeyer was up in second place. So, and he's finished fifth, so maybe he limped it to the line, and so I think maybe. So we have to check the result of the second race, and have to admit we were asleep at the time. Have to see what that result was, but I think Jim Farley was probably second overall, and is it Diego Ferral, the Portuguese guy? Or it might be Diogo. Need to check that. I'm sure has won this outright, this Plateau 4. Now, one thing we should explain, Snowy, is there's also an index of performance like they used to have at Le Mans, which works out the result in a different way. It takes into account their actual result in the race, but there's also a factor, which is the age of the car, because obviously they're not all the same age in this group, and some other factors as well. I'm sure it takes into account the age of the driver, but so that there's another classification, and to some people that's quite important. But for me, the key thing really is who did well in three races to put together the overall results. A nice little Renault Caravelle there. Look, there's just such fantastic cars. Snowy and I obviously go to Goodwood, Silverstone, lots of classic meetings. Come here to France and you see cars that you maybe never ever seen before.
Yeah.
And racing cars you've never seen before. It is terrific. And the big news is that although this is a biannual event, because it's a 100th anniversary of the Le Mans 24 Hours next year, they're going to run this again. Well, there's a very rare 1966 Renault there. Renault's number 55.
Well, of course, this event was scheduled originally for 2020.
It was.
Of course, the global pandemic got in the way of that, quite understandably. And, of course, it was then rescheduled for last year, 2021, which also never happened. So, it's just great to be back here. But this is the 10th running in 20 years.
Yes.
It being biannual, that would be the case. But, of course, as you say, next year, it's the centenary of the big event, Le Mans itself, the 24-hour. And what a great way to celebrate and have this here as well. The classic as well, and Le Mans 24-hour, 2 years back-to-back. Brilliant. Hopefully it'll be quite as close as just 3 weeks apart as it was this year.
Ready to bake, it says on the front of that. Well, ready to race in the 52 car. Greg Caton. Thumbs up.
Needs to put his gloves on. There you go. Look at that. Right on cue. The right on cue.
Yeah, right on cue. Yeah. Oh, lovely Porsche 904.
I think it's a 908.
But 908, sorry. Yeah.
Yeah.
Early doors, yeah.
You're just getting yourself dialed in.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think you're actually testing me.
Yeah.
Quite rightly too. Need to.
Yeah, look at that. Porsche 906. Next to a Corvette there. It's a Swiss Team X Scuderia Filippinetti, that's for sure. So we swing to the left. So, one thing we should say, if you didn't join us yesterday and are now following us, absolutely massive grids, 70 car grids in a lot of these races.
It's extraordinary, isn't it?
Yeah.
When you think that there's
Lola T210.
62 start the Le Mans 24-hour race?
Yeah.
Normally?
Yeah. BDA engine in the back of that. There's a car that was raced in period by the great Joe Bonnier.
I think in fairness, he raced quite a lot of cars, didn't he?
He raced an awful lot of cars, yes. Often in Swedish colours. Oh, it's Formula 1 driver. Looking around this Lola T70, but must have been one that went out to America. Back with the French, Prevost and Chambord in what to me looks more like a rally car. He's had a lot of success with these little Alpines in rallying.
Always synonymous in that lovely sort of little light metallic blue. And one of those, what they call, I don't know what they call it, it's not a resto mod, is it? But it's a retro car, isn't it? You've seen it.
Yes.
I think really the Fiat 500 was probably the first one to do it, or maybe the Volkswagen Beetle.
I think the Beetle, yes.
Beetle was the first one to do it, sort of a modern version with technology and safety and all that in of retro styling.
Just looking at that Renault, I think we did call some Renault, some CD, Charles Deutsch CD car a Renault yesterday. So
on Alpine, I think you're right. I think we did. But, apologies if we did.
Now, looking into the cockpit of the. That's a funny engine in the back of there.
Is it? What's in that one, Andrew?
Oh, that's a military helicopter engine. This is the Helmet TX, raced at Le Mans in period, helicopter jet engine. And Xavier Micheron will be driving that.
I'd love to be the person that came up with the concept and what was going through the individual's head at the time when the idea was to... Where do you come up with the idea of putting a helicopter jet engine into a car? I know it was the 60s and things were different.
Yeah.
But it's just bizarre.
Well, they didn't start it. Rover started it here at Le Mans.
It was a turbine thing, wasn't it, at the time?
Yeah,
I'm intrigued, because you said something yesterday about that car, but having a washing machine engine or motor.
That's to go backwards. It's very difficult to make a jet engine go backwards.
But it doesn't need to go backwards. If it's got an ordinary gearbox and drives it forward.
I don't think it had an ordinary gearbox. I'm not quite sure.
It's been weighing on my mind. I couldn't sleep last night thinking about that.
I don't know how the transmission works. Now, here's a beautiful car, all the way from Bolton. Lovely Chevron B16. And see, aluminium chassis designed by Derek Bennett. Just looked right, doesn't it?
It does. I think it's Martin Brundle often says that if it looks right, it is right.
Yeah. In this, we're going to see. Now we've got a Data Masso. Yes, there's 3 or 4 of these here. The Data Masso company, of course, produced the Magusta and Pantera and so on. An Argentine-led company, but basically built the cars. There's the other 2, look. They have been taken over by a Chinese consortium, but they've also got together with the old Gumpert, people that made the Gumpert Apollo, And, well, futuristic-looking car there. We had a close look at them, didn't we, in the paddock on Friday?
I would say it's very very retro-looking, actually. Very
Yes, it is a bit.
Ferrari,
Yes.
very Ferrari P4, P3, that sort of era.
Yes.
It's a very curvaceous and
And
beautiful-looking piece of kit. And I do quite like this sort of culture at the moment of sort of retro-looking cars with modern technology.
Yeah,
Best of both worlds, isn't it?
And Ralph Keller's former factory Toyota driver here at Le Mans, he has been involved in the development of that, I believe. So here the car that we think has dominated this, David and Oliver Hart. Ollie Hart's son was at the wheel. We saw him just getting ready a few moments ago. Chevy engine in the back, but some of these did run here at Le Mans with Team Surtees with Aston Martin motors. Trumpets sticking up there. And look at this Ferrari. This
The 312P, is it?
Yeah.
The Remo Lips and
Reno
David Franklin.
Lips. David Franklin's name is on the strap there. He's not driving. We just caught up with him in the paddock, and the owner decided to leave the 40-year-old in rather than give the 76-year-old David a run in it, although he's raced it many times. We've got Paul Belmondo, a man with some Formula One heritage, and the son of one of France's most famous actors. Yeah, so Remo Lips, who normally races in the German GT3 Championship very successfully.
Well, it's DTM now as well, isn't it? German
Yeah,
GT3.
well, that's yes, but it's not the same championship, is it?
No.
No, there's two rival German GT3 championships. Nice to see that Ferrari with its stickers on from the original Trico. Do you know what Trico was?
No, but we can find out.
Oh no, you don't need no. I don't. Trico made windscreen wipers.
They did. That's right. Yes.
But they were very big supporters of Le Mans.
Yes, that's right. It's synonymous with Le Mans, isn't it? I remember that.
Yeah.
That's advertising logo.
So here are the Data Massos. Round heading down now to Indianapolis. As the rest of the cars get ready. There's the Lola T70 and the old David Piper colours, green, Sean Lynn. Now, I wonder if Sean's got back for that, because we saw him out on the track, didn't we?
We did.
Broken down, so, and he's definitely not there. Look.
Well, we saw the car. We saw the car, didn't we? Was it Sean actually standing by the car?
I thought it was.
Thought it was. Okay.
Yeah, I thought it was, and the fact he's not there would. He's quite desperate trying to get back from somewhere. There's the helmet. It's been going well. Xavier Micheron runs something called the Ascot Collection, and he's a big-time dealer of very expensive high-end racing cars. Yes, and he's a good peddler as well, actually. He did have a spin, didn't he, yesterday? Managed to get in the gravel.
He wasn't the only one, of course.
He wasn't the only one by a very long way. So I think Ollie Hart is a man to beat here. See, Richard Beale, who you see his name everywhere around here, is in second place in a Lola T70. And Richard, famous watchmaker, upmarket chronometers, I suppose you'd say. And Richard Beale, big sponsor of this event. Very senior in the FIA, particularly as far as the WEC is concerned. And Richard has been driving really nicely here. Snowy absolutely loves the Porsche 911. Porsche 917 in here, isn't there, Snowy? Is it in this race? Maybe not. So everybody behind the pace car, and the circuit in excellent condition. Another beautiful day coming up here, we believe, in Western France. There's the helmet. Ray Heppenstall, one of the men behind that. The chassis was built in America by McKee, also built B cars. Well known British driver Hugh Dibley raced that car also. 2 or 3 races. Did win a couple of races. I think it's the only jet car to, or did the Lotus?
Don't think it did, because the Lotus
Not certainly the Formula 1 version.
No,
did,
I was thinking more Indy, actually.
Yeah, the Indy.
Certainly didn't win it, but it ran
No, it
there.
didn't. No, it was going to win it.
Well, yes. Mute point there.
Yeah. There's a Lola in the famous Sid Taylor racing colours. We told the story of that yesterday. So, final race for the 3 for Grid 5, Plateau 5 as they call it.
And as you say quite rightly, Andrew, when it's a fun race, of course it's the deciding race, isn't it?
It is a deciding race.
These boys and girls.
But
What a fantastic sight! Look at the cars.
look at
weaving
that,
there. Just look at that. But there's something about Le Mans. I don't know what it is. We haven't got long enough to wax that lyrical on it. But there is something about it. But the sight of that set of gorgeous cars, absolutely fantastic coming down the straight there. Some of them 2x2, Noah's Ark style. Some of them weaving quite considerably to get the tyres in. Stuart Hall, very kindly from the Rofco collection, was in here with us yesterday. He was saying how much you couldn't really get the heat in those tyres,
Yes.
especially admittedly he was in the first race of the day,
Yes.
in our booth for the
Yeah.
first race of the day, yesterday, the Group C cars, and saying they were critical because they're the full Le Mans cars.
yeah, but look, there's
period.
a lot of sand blowing across the circuit just there. Look.
It's a bit of cement dust on the side
Yeah, I
of the track.
suppose that's what it is. Yes.
But it's about getting the heat into those tyres because as you said, they're doing 200 miles an hour, those Group C cars down the Mulsanne. Now
Yeah.
these cars are going to be doing 170, 180.
Yeah.
And I think it's at that point the accident's kind of academic.
Yeah.
Between 20, 30 miles an hour difference at those sorts of speeds, it's still going to be
Yeah.
a big one. You need to have the car in the right condition, and the whole point of the warm lap is to do that.
That Ferrari there is an X-Factor car. It was driven here by Chris Amon in the year that 70 when John Wolfe crashed. I think he kind of hit the Ferrari. The Ferrari is certainly involved, and it caught fire during that horrific incident with John Wolfe, and he of course lost his life in that incident. But that Ferrari, very rare. David Franklin has raced it a lot for the owner, but moving on to the next generation in a way now. Through the starting grid. The starting grid here is based on the second race in this plateau. So we know thereby know that the Hearts won the previous race in the night.
Bit of a mixed emotions for the Hart family over this weekend, haven't they? Because David didn't have the best start in, say, Group C races. Peugeot Group C car had to park at the side of the track, and then he had GT40 with something smoky, certainly that retired at the side of the track.
Yeah, I think we should explain that yesterday we had 4 separate independent races, support races, if you will. They just had the one race. They're in the transporters on the way home now.
Yes.
The 6 plateaus get to race the 3 times. This is the 3rd of those. It's going to be interesting to see if Richard Mille can have a bit of a go at the much younger Ollie Hart, or whether Lips in the Ferrari can get in amongst them. He might be able to. A few other strong runners. Obviously there's quite a lot of 2-litre sports cars in this, and the one that is leading that category, having had a second and a first, is Henry Fletcher. Henry, the son of Andrew Fletcher. Henry's in a Chevron. Andrew raced Chevrons when they were new, and Fletcher family very enthusiastic about the racing. Henry has raced quite a lot. Raced a March GP thoroughbred car in the various different Formula 1 races, but mainly the Masters through. In its category, the champion in that. A few different Porsches there. 910s, I wrongly identified. I'm just waking up. So Renault's at the back. One of the other big stories that emerged from this meeting is that Nelson Piquet is here and racing. We have an interview with him, which I think will probably be playing in Midweek Motorsport. He said some very interesting things. I did ask him about the controversy in the headlines he'd written, and I think our listeners will be very interested to hear his take on it. And I think when you've listened to it, you'll realise Nelson's not quite the bad boy that he's been painted to be. I think even thrown him out, but they have rescinded his honorary membership of the BRDC. When you actually hear the correct story, I think it's all a bit different. It is really all to do with the nuance of the Portuguese-Brazilian language, actually.
Just looking at, I've just got the results classification up for the race overnight. Obviously, quite Andrew, that obviously the grid is gives you. I was looking at some of the times.
What were the sort of gaps, though?
That's exactly what I was just going to do. And of course, right at the moment, I want to do that. The screen decides to do something different. So. Now, Hart to Franklin, they've got second here. Well, obviously, Lips.
Well, Lips, yeah.
We've got Meal, Richard Meal, second on the grid here in this T70. The result of the second race over the night was not that. It was David and Oliver Hart and Remo Lips. Obviously not.
And where was Meal then?
Well, he's not actually on the result sheet. Oh, he is the 17th.
Wow.
But the gap at the front, just if let's just forget the grid for a minute. I think we're about to get started anyway.
We are, and off they go. And Oliver Hart straight into the lead. Ferrari slow away, wasn't it?
Certainly was.
And all these thundering Lola T70s. And I remember racing back in the day with great names like Denny Holm and Trevor Taylor, Formula One drivers, raced these in support events at some of the non-championship Formula One races that we held in Britain. And of course, there is the 917 Charles Foucault is, of course, in this race. You've never seen one. Right.
Sorry, Andrew,
the 917 Porsche is in this Charles Foucault.
Well, I might have done as a wee.
Yeah, I think you probably
time.
Yeah.
But you to go back to the John Moore thing, which I took 1969.
69, not 70, right?
Yeah. The gap at the front. I was just trying to say, according to the classifications of this grid for this plateau last night. If we read this, it was David and Oliver Hart in the Lola from the Ferrari of Remo Lips, and the gap was, after 43 minutes of racing,
gone
0.4 of a second.
Oh, we should have stayed up.
We should have stayed up for that one, shouldn't we? Exactly.
Yeah.
That said, the Ferrari was swamped, as you said,
at
the start of this particular section. The third and final deciding factor on this. Cars running on the Howler running a little bit wide over there. The cement does look a little bit more dramatic than it did, but is it cement or is it sand? From
it looks like sand swirling around, doesn't it?
It's got such a neat line. It's almost as if it's been laid. But I think you're right. I think it's sand from the dust from the gravel trap on the other side of the circuit, the side of the track. So 3 Lolas in a line there. The Ferrari right up at the front and was dominant in that first section yesterday. Just didn't seem to get away. And normally it can just be almost stupid, like you've got the wrong gear or something not quite with it, whatever the reasons may be. But normally you pick up again really quite quickly. And that Ferrari hasn't really got back in touch just yet. So
not yet.
Surprised on that one. I thought it made a little bit more progress back up the order. So it may be something more fundamental than operator error at the start there. But we will see. There's a long way to go. 40-odd minutes still. We haven't even done the first lap.
And here the chevrons already. These two, we saw them yesterday wheel to wheels through the whole race. The 20 and 25 car. Furiani and Henry Fletcher. So Alexander Furiani, who's a German.
The two cars getting a complete tow there.
But they absolutely are the class of the field in the 2 litres. Chevron, 1971 Chevron B19s.
Got the toe from itself there, and now pulled out from that, dived down the outside of the left-hander, running a little bit wide there, just getting a couple of tyres on, just not quite the grass, but it's just for en arge, the left-handers for en arge into the right hand there, again squirreling away under power. These are very short, square format on these cars, as in a very short wheelbase and quite wide. So it's almost like these Chevrons, almost like a big cars really, with a bit of bodywork on. It's a slight, I don't mean that in a demeaning manner, but they're much bigger than a cart in some ways, and that they handle it the same way. Side by side again, each great courteous driving there, going on between these two. This is the 67th position, 25 and 20. These two here, and they're having a proper duking it out on the first lap, Andrew.
Yeah, well, they did that yesterday. And you see that number 12 car nipped past out of our sight, Ollie Hart. It was a bit of a surprise.
Now, we're talking about the advance of the Ferrari. That suddenly just bagged another place from the 37 Lola going into the ends of the forward chicane, which is quite a complex set of little corners there. Just managed to get himself from another place. So perhaps the Ferrari has just taken a lap to settle itself down. And indeed, even in the length of the pit straight, has pulled itself away from that Lola. It's just got past it on the tails of the coattails of the Hart car, and crikey, all of a sudden, Remo Lips. I don't know what he suddenly found there, but it's almost as if it wasn't switched on properly before. But that which we anticipated it would happen in the first lap, that car not having the greatest of starts and a rolling start, is suddenly it's got itself onto an extra grade.
Well, Team Surtees stripes, sort of, the front of that car was just going to be overtaken again by Oliver Hart, but no, it isn't, and that's Philippe Jacquet from Switzerland. It's not somebody I'm aware of, actually. Maybe I should be. He's certainly rowing that along pretty quickly, isn't he?
Well, Oliver Hart it is that started this car. He's got his mirrors full of number 58, 312P now. Remo Lips in the Ferrari, lining up into test route. He's going to go down the inside into the first chicane. It's a left-hander, this one, so he's going to try and run down there. He has indeed got the job done, side by side, slipstreamed it. The other Lola sitting in the middle of the track, number 12, holding up that position. So Remo Lips it is that's gained another place already, so the charge of this Ferrari is back in position. It's only a matter of time, and it's looking very, very agile. Now, actually, I think the number 12 Lola there was really, really slow through the chicane. Then I may have an issue. We've got our first pit visitor, that's the 29 GT40.
Obviously, with a problem. I don't think Sean Lynn did get back in time to climb in his car, so that's a big disappointment.
So that's Joachim Prince of Denmark in the GT40.
Yeah, it's the Prince of Denmark. I said yesterday, a marathon runner.
Somebody's bring it into the pits.
He's done the New York Marathon, but the Ferrari in the lead
David
now.
Hart got past the 12 Lola now. I'm just going to get the number on that 12 Lola before I get 12. That is Philippe
well, it's a difficult one, isn't it? Q's and U's in the middle of his name. And as I said, it's not somebody I'm really that aware of, but
well, whatever.
That's a great thing about this meeting. People you never see racing in the UK are here, and you know the guy can drive, because Ollie Hart's no slouch, is he? Particularly in that T70, and the guy's staying with him.
Kind of he isn't though. It doesn't seem to have the straight line speed. Just looking at the two cars, slight variances in the rear wings there. The David Hart Lola T70 got considerably more wing area now. The David Hart T70 I've just mentioned is also just puffing out a little bit of smoke under power coming out of the chicane on the Mulsanne there. Just notice a haze, as might have described about them on the GT40.
These T70s designed by Eric Broadley, of course, and continuation cars have been built. Replicas. Chris Fox is the sort of band that really knows about these cars. Worked for Lola for many years. He's produced some which are sort of, well, there's various things to be different official continuation cars and so on. The T70, it's a bit difficult to follow, to be honest.
If it's made, authorised or sanctioned by the manufacturer originally, then it's a real one. Meanwhile, the chevron battle continues. T70s making their way past that, and there the T70 just blends to the right-hand side, coming out of Van Arge, and gets the run past these two little chevrons that are having an absolute ding-dong in this. They were yesterday as well. This being Alexander Ferrani in the 20, and so that's Alexander in the 20 and the 25, and it's Francois Bourgeon in the 20 car.
So anyway, our man that led, Philippe Jacquet, Verbier, Geneva, and he runs a company called Money House. That's a good name for it, isn't it? Money House.
My apologies, I've got the wrong way round there. It was the 20 is indeed Alexander Ferrani, but it's in 25 is Henry Fletcher. My apologies to Henry, who's a part of that battle. To miscredit you, give you the wrong moniker. My apologies, Henry.
So anyway,
great battle he is. In the moment, he's actually ahead of Ferrani as well. And funnily enough, actually, Andrew, that T70 hasn't exactly pulled away from to the point that Henry Fletcher just dived down the inside. Talk about opportunistic into the first part of the Dunlop chicane, as I'm going to call it.
Move.
Dive down the inside and put a gap between himself and put a Lola T70 between himself and the other other chevron, which is just what he needs. Give it a little bit of breathing space.
Yeah.
Which is going to carry all the way through the curves here, and I think up to Tete Rouge, and that's going to give him 2 or 3 car lengths. Bear in mind, they've had about 2 or 3 centimetres between them most of this first lap, but a great move from Henry Fletcher there, decisive with only 10 minutes of the race run as well, Andrew.
Yeah, doing a great job there past the football stadium and out of Tete Rouge. And that T70 might have another chevron snap by him. Just going back to the guy that I wasn't really aware of, Jacquet, he's been quite a leading light in the French GT Championship, actually, and has raced in the 10 years ago in the FIA GT3 European Championships, a guy that's 58. And he's also raced in the Porsche Cup and the VW and Blancpain Series and so on. So he's got lots of experience, and he's making this Lola go well, but not as well as at Ferrari with the 40-year-old German driver at the wheel, ex-factory car.
Meanwhile, at the front, we've got, I think, the 312P Ferrari of Remo Lips has got past David Hart. Well, Oliver Hart, I think, was in that car this time round. They have swapped positions. David did first dibs in these first 3 of his cars yesterday, whether it be plateaus or otherwise. What a variety of cars to drive over the weekend.
I know.
A 1992 Peugeot Group C car, which is effectively not far from Formula 1 car.
Not really.
A GT40, and then into a Lola T70.
The Ferrari that's leading, because it is a 3-litre 312, so 3-litre 12 cylinders, V12 engine, just raced in 1969 and 1970. And then in 1971, they switched to a flat 12 engine. So this is the V12 version. And I mentioned that this car is ex-Chris Amon, but it's also driven by Mario Andretti. Made its debut at the Sebring 12 Hours in 1969.
Somebody tell Fletcher and Ferrari that this is a 30-minute, 43-minute race with 30 minutes to go still, because they are.
Look at that.
This is like a 10-minute sprint, 10-lap sprint at Mallory Park or somewhere.
It is, and now they go side by side again, but the Lola's nipped past them. Yeah, just going back to the Ferrari, as we've got yellow flag at zone 11. We talked.
That's the 906 Porsche, or 908, number 36.
Oh, it's
that spun and rejoining.
You just mentioned that Peugeot was a lightly disguised Formula 1 car. Oh dear, the Scuderia Filippinetti GT40. It's a beautiful. Oh,
Yeah, good that he got that restarted, because there was quite a bit of a flame out on the twin central exhaust on that Philip Panetti. I think that was just coming out of our Arnage by the look of it.
looks like it, doesn't it?
Yeah.
But anyway, he's going again, so we'll see what happens here. Oh, big lock up from the 72.
Well, that will definitely flat spotted the front left on the 72.
Yeah, oh, we got
that's
that Fletcher?
That's one of the. That's what the Fletcher.
No, I don't think it's the other one, is it?
I think it's one of those two. They've got tagged going into.
It hit the barrier hard.
Big impact there on the at the end of the 40 chicane, going into the gravel on just before the pit straight. I think
that's Furiani. That's Alexander Furiani, the German. So, well, they were racing so close, you know, something was going to happen, wasn't it?
Well, I think it was more a question they caught back markers coming through there.
Yeah.
They've got to maintain their pace, and it's always that issue with multi-class racing, isn't it? When you catch slower people that or a different speed differential between the cars, and the slower car has every right to be on the track as well. It is the faster car's responsibility to get round that. Unfortunately, they went through the gap there, and I think it just tagged. I'm not sure whether it tagged the back marker or one another. I think it was the back marker, actually. I don't think the two chevrons did anything wrong, but that's going to cause, I'd have thought, another, potentially, it will be a yellow flag, but it will be potentially a slow zone while they get that car out of the way. But we'll see.
So, Henry Fletcher, I think we can safely say is going to, unless something goes wrong, will win the 2-litre category.
Well, it's a long way to go yet.
Yeah.
So we're a couple of minutes off. We're seconds off the pit window being open, Andrew.
Yeah, just to pick up something you said about that Peugeot, it was a lightly disguised Formula 1 car. So was this Ferrari Imperial.
Oh, yes.
So, but the year before, they had a 5-litre cars, and they were regulations changed, had to go to 3-litre. And so they only ran these cars, as I said, for 2 years, and then they went to the flat 12. So it's a very rare beast.
So very, very similar in construction and architecture of the 312B Formula 1 car.
Yeah, but
certainly the same engine.
Yeah,
basis.
engine running gear. The little Porsche there is the same as Nelson Piquet is driving, but it's not that one. He's got the one that's in the Viceroy colours.
Yes. I keep saying David Hart, but it's actually
it's Ollie. I saw Ollie getting in it.
Yes.
Whether they'll swap over, I don't know. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't.
Loads getting past the Mark IV.
Yes, I mean that car should be right at the front, really. Oh.
That's
him again.
That's a replay of the number 15.
Oh, it's a replay,
yeah.
That's how he got in the gravel there.
Yeah. Unburnt fuel as it's cranking over. Distinctive twin pipes on those GT40s coming out of the centre there. Pit window is open, by the way. Literally just started. But obviously sitting there, lots of unburnt fuel as the car cranks over and does some fire. So very dramatic looking flames coming out of that GT40, and then when it catches it, burns that fuel and the exhaust comes out and gets rid of it. But for a moment or two, it does look like it's going to set fire to the back of the car, which is
and it can happen.
The driver knows nothing about that at the time. Just keep cranking it, hoping it catches.
And the helmet is running up in 8th place. Absolutely terrific. You want a geek moment?
I think we're going to get one.
The helicopter engine in there is a Continental TS325, and it was a military helicopter engine, and the contract was cancelled or something, so these engines kicking around cheap. And Ray Heppenstall, in fact, as we see the 76 car, Ray Heppenstall originally had bought a Cooper to run the engine in, but in the end he had McKee construct the chassis you see now. We talked about the Rothko collection. I think the other helmet, I don't know, I think they only built 2. I think it's in the Rothko collection, actually. Lots of good racing, these 2-litre sports cars, though. Still fight. All right, he lost one into the barrier, but these boys are still fighting nicely.
A great shame that we had one that we lost one of the chevrons and that Tom Lows in that battle. It looked like it was going to go on forever. Pit stops at flurries now, lots of activity. We've still got an incident to Marshal Post 34 on investigation. I think that's going to be the Chevron one, actually. Potential. That's sort of where that is around that.
82 Corvette. And rather strange design to his crash helmet, I thought. Oh, now it can go.
Great 70s period to fit in the car. So the Ferrari is in, remote lips is in, and obviously no driver change. He's staying in that car as it has indeed for all three of these plateaus for him.
So all the results will move around until we get all the pit stops done. There's that fantastic Ferrari though. Well, the bubble in the roof certainly wasn't for Mario Andretti, was it? No. Well, actually, Chris Abel wasn't that big either, so presumably somebody else had driven it. That his head was a bit high, with very low roof line on the car. One car we haven't mentioned, another GT40 from 1967. That's actually a Mark IV. Is up to 6th place, which there's 2 Mark IVs in this, the 7-litre cars, which of course staged fantastic success here in 67. And the Dolan family, there's 4 Dolans listed against that car, and we have no way of knowing which, or only one of them has driven it, but I think the 2 main drivers are James and Charlie Dolan, and they run a hotel group in America and various other interests they have.
So we're pretty well at half distance, Andrew. 22 and a half minutes to go, so pretty well there, just about a minute off. So at Oliver and David Hard, father and son driving the car first. It's if we can look into the car, you just saw a shot of it coming through the chicane there. You can look things through the windscreen. Quite easy to tell the two apart, because most of the time it appears that David, the father, wears an open face helmet and his son Oliver wears a full face helmet. So really quite easy to tell. Oh, big understeering moment there for Oliver Hart, and it's almost now that makes you start to think. I'm putting 2 and 2 together, hopefully getting 4. Yesterday in that first end when we watched this, that car had a surprising pit stop, or surprising element of its pit stop. It had its front tyres changed, front wheels, didn't it?
It did, didn't it? Yeah.
It did. Now, noticing there, is it just using those tyres extraordinary compared with those? Normally we don't have these changed in a 40-odd minute race, even right here. But they did yesterday, and massive understeering moments there for Olivier Hart. I've got to say, he did well to catch that T70 at that pace. But it did not want to turn in, did not want to find the apex, didn't really want to find the exit, to be honest. But Oliver Hart used all his talent to catch it all up and get it pointing in. Yeah, roughly in the right direction still. Yeah, but it was certainly a moment for him.
Lots of activity in the pits. We did see close-up shot of another Scuderia Filippinetti car with Mauro Pompensini of Italy driving that. So slightly later, there's Lola T210s and there's Lola T212s of the year after that, some upgrades.
We mentioned this this group of chevrons we had here, which of course is the B16s and 19s predominantly, but there's a couple of B8s.
The earlier car, yes.
Yeah, but I think I'm going to test you, Andrew, because you were around at the time. Forgive me.
Yeah.
How often and how many times does the Chevron B8 race at Le Mans, do you think? A B8.
B8, probably only a couple of times. Maybe Digby Martland.
We think it probably overdoing it. It's probably half of that.
Oh,
we
really?
think it's only the once. We think it's the JCB car.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, the yellow one.
Yeah.
It still runs.
Yeah. Of course, Derek Bennett with Chevron started with Clubman's cars, and then there was, I think, just a few B6s, and then that was upgraded to the B8. They built a lot of those. And then he's built some very successful cars for Formula 5000, for Formula 3, Formula 2. It always looked beautiful.
Great philosophy, wasn't it? But have a sensible, neat, easy chassis, but a pretty well stock engine. Obviously, there were things, but it was a BMW engine, 2 litre, so readily available.
You could get an FVC or FVA in it.
The BMW ones were the most.
They tended
popular.
to be, particularly the GT ones.
Yes. Safe, reliable. And of course, in endurance racing, it's not always about speed. It's reliability. It's as I said, there's only one set of points on one lap, and it's at the end.
What a great slow-mo shot that is. One person we haven't mentioned in this race, flying about 17th. Oh, he's getting a bit. See his hand come out. He wasn't happy with that.
What it was, there was coming through on ours. This is the two chevrons side by side, and they've had a little bit of a argy-bargy and some side contact. They're very flat-sided cars there, but a little bit of pushing going on there, a bit more rubbing as racing. And from the second driver, let's just say that there was a big and open cockpit. We could see that there was a very Anglo-Saxon gesture towards individuals in front of just pushing wide. We'll just leave it at that, shall we?
Yes, I was going to mention that. A bit further down to the field is the 5 times winner of Le Mans, Emanuele Pirro, a great guy. And
you've got to stop and think about that. I mean, 5-time winner of Le Mans, to take part in Le Mans 5 times.
Well, it'd be fantastic, wouldn't it?
But you have to win it 5 times. No, David Hart.
Stop out. Oh.
So our race leader.
What has happened there?
Second place car is out completely.
Yeah.
This car, there's just not been the Hart's weekend, has it?
It certainly hasn't. They had a lot of disappointment.
And a very odd place. It's on that bridge under there. It's parked onto the right-hand side. It's pulled over to. Would it be wrong to say broken-hearted?
Oh, very good.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I know I mean,
it'll get better.
Will be. I mean, they'll get over it.
We're here all week.
Yeah. Well, that makes it even easier for the Ferrari, doesn't it?
I've got to say, I know there's a different motion involved in this for that car parked and so, but the first shot of it when they zoomed in on it was just on the crest of it. It's just beautiful skyline behind it.
Yeah,
it was a great photo shoot of the T70, but not where they want it to be stationary. So I was just going to say that car was going to come into the pits and have its front tyres changed, but it didn't. Never got that far.
This is the car that Paul Belmondo is driving. Lots of experience at Le Mans. And presumably driving for his friend Van Drob. Is that? I'm trying to remember Belmondo's. It is.
That's his.
Yeah, that's his helmet. Yeah. Nice tight up shot of him.
Something not quite right, and we've got the door shut now, but it was something they did get the door shut, then back open again for Paul Belmondo, not to go back in and have another chat with him about something. So something not quite connected there, but they all seem felt relatively happy. No looks of a dejection here. So Datsun, one of the Samurai Datsuns in its orange and brown livery, taking the old line through one of the chicanes that moves on, as in pretty well straight on.
Paul Belmondo made the headlines in France for a while when he was using old-fashioned expression, walking out with Princess Stephanie of Monaco.
What a lovely age-appropriate phrase, walking out. Brilliant.
Made his Grand Prix debut in 1992 in South Africa and raced through the 92. Drove for Pacific, if you remember. So overs.
So we've still got this. We've got double yellows at turn 4, which will be that's because of the hard Lola parked on the right-hand side, very neatly by Oliver Hart. So something terminal there. That car's just not got back under power. Has it going out of the chicane there? It's just not even got over the crest of the hill under the Dunlop Bridge. But made for the last thing on his mind, or his father's mind, I'm sure. But made for a fantastic photo opportunity. The car parked under the iconic Dunlop Bridge at Le Mans, but it shouldn't be parked. And David Hart going back to it, putting his crash helmet into it. Oliver Hart, my apologies. Yeah. Listen to what I mean, not what I say.
Yep. Just go back to Belmont. It did 10 Le Mans, and in '93 it was in that one of the Jaguar XJ220s. But he only finished 3 of them, I think. He'd have a 3rd in class at the end. Trying to see what his best Formula 1.
Hence my point about Emmanuel Pilier, as you said, that to only finish 3 in Paul Belmondo, 10 Le Mans, only finished 3.
Yeah.
To finish 3, to finish 5 and win 5 of them.
Yeah.
It was one heck of a record.
So and just there's a 917.
Yeah.
Yeah. Looking most unusual in that white and blue colour scheme, I have to say.
Yes, it's. I mean, they were famous in their white and silver martini colours, and Gulf, of course, but not forgetting the martini versions as well, as there were.
Yeah, Belmondo did the '92 Formula 1 season and the '94 with Pacific, '92 with a March, and his best result was 9th in Hungary.
So Peter Vogel, it is, or Virgil from Switzerland, that's in the...
Vergelaet, I think.
Vergelaet, my apologies. Is in the number 3 917, which has been seen. So Oliver Hart is having the number 63 family Lola pushed away, and Marshall's running it down the hill. There's also just noting in the background there, as well as the double waved yellows, there's slippery surface flags, red and yellow striped, and Oliver Hart, without a crash helmet on, sitting in that car now, right on the apex, going down the hill. He's obviously going to run it out to the safest place. Once he's got around that, he's clear. Now there's the Datsun going by. There he's off onto this escape road now, as it was, but into the sort of back of the Bugatti circuit.
Yeah. Just to finish our Belmondo history, he's married to Luana, who was a famous TV chef and broadcaster.
There you go.
There you go.
Shouldn't go hungry then.
He won't, no. The Ferrari's pulled almost half a minute away now from the nearest Lola, which is the number 12 car with the Swiss driver at the wheel, with a name not so tricky to pronounce.
We've got another Lola going very slowly. This is the
26
car.
That is the Belmondo car.
No, actually, that's going into a slow zone, so they're all backing up behind it. So
that's it, yes.
Yeah, we couldn't see that on the sides of the track of the flag, so they was actually doing exactly the right thing. But do have something else there on the track. Is that one of the Chevron B16s on the left-hand side?
That is going.
That's going very, very slow. Yeah. So white flags being waved there, slow-moving vehicle on track, both sides of the track, for all the other competitors to see. So there was a slow zone, then gone straight. As you clear the slow zone, you get the green flag to go back to racing speed again. The moment they do that, there's yes, indeed, it is one of the Chevrons. It is the number 72 entry. That's the Francois Bourdin entry, or driven car. Second in that car is Hervé Tremblay. He's gone to that. It is one of the B16s from 1971. It's making its way back under its own steam, but very, very slowly back to the pit. So I'm not sure it's going to get its way through. As our race leader, number 58, the Remo Lips in the 312, absolutely glorious 312P Ferrari from 1969. Majestic is the best way to describe that. We're coming up to just over 10 minutes left of this race to run. I'm just trying to look at this number 72 B16 again, that it's presumably going to make its way into the pit exit. It's Sam Hancock. It's one that drives this. No, apologies, there's a car going past. My apologies. Oh, that's... Well, right, just had a bit of a camera change there. We've got a Corvette pulling up. One of the Sam Hancock Daytona, 365
disappointment.
GTB for Ferrari. It's just gone straight on, approaching the end of the Ford chicane through the gravel trap, almost into the pit entrance there. So we'll try and get back to that in a second. But the 82 Corvette, in the meantime, has retired.
Yeah, so they've hooked it up already.
Yeah, very quickly actually, almost in the flash of a camera shot. They're pulling the 82 Corvette out of the way. I can't actually see that on my entry list. Anthony,
No, I can't either.
No, thank you. Well, it's not just me then. I thought I was going potty more than usual. Well, it's a bright yellow Corvette that's not taking part, or taking no further part in the action. We can tell you that much as well. But we have under 10 minutes left of this final Plateau 5 race. Just for those that you may be joining us now, viewers and listeners around the world, it's 3 races for each of these plateaus. So you have a race on Saturday, a race during the night, and a race on Sunday.
Correct, yeah.
Is the basic principle. Normally about 50 minutes long, or normally 50 minutes long, not about. These have been reduced to 43 minutes this weekend, just because of some delays yesterday to try and get the thing done. Obviously, there's licensing considerations to take into for the circuit and noise. And the fact that the Mulsanne Straight, for instance, is actually a main road. It's the... I'm trying to think. I was going to say which road it was then. And I'm wrong. I was going to say N24. It's not. That's,
No, it's not.
No, that's Aston Martin N24 Nürburgring.
Just on that, we mentioned the Dolan Mark 4 67 GT, the Mark 4 GT40, if you want to call it that. I believe that is the car that won Le Mans in 1967 with Dan Gurney in it. I'm not 100% sure, but I think I read that somewhere. I mean, it's definitely a 67 Mark IV, Dan Gurney and AJ Foyt. That's the year when AJ, the only time he took part here and won it. But I think it is that same car.
Okay, which number was that? So you're saying, Andrew?
The number 45. We did see a shot of it.
Yep.
Remember in remember the Ford in '66 with McLaren and Amon with the Mark II. One, oh look, they're seeing it now. Look, our director's picked it up. Fantastic. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that is the actual Le Mans winner.
Great to see it out there with them.
Yeah,
fantastic.
They've raced it a lot in America, places like VIR and stuff like that. But I don't think we've ever seen it racing in Europe before, or maybe at this event it's been. But yeah, so just to recap, with the Ford, with the 7-litre Mark II, because they won in '67, with the 1-2-3 result, and then the following year they moved on to the Mark IV, and it was Gurney and Foyt.
Well, if it is, and I'm sure you're absolutely right, that's, as far as I'm aware, that's 2 Le Mans winning cars we've got in this. Actually won the big race in period. So the first one being the Rolf Kaufmann's 1934 Alpha 8C.
Oh, I think there's some more. And fantastic.
So I did say 2 that I can think of. But
fantastic. This is a great run by the helmet. Look, terrific run by the helmet. The helicopter engine car is up to 6th place overall. Xavier Micheron. Oh, look at the smoke coming out of that Lola.
Yeah, I noticed that's not the first lap he's done that, and I've kept quiet about it on the basis there's 6 minutes to go left on the clock, so I'm doing that driver thing and pretending it's not happening.
Yeah, he'll be seeing his mirrors and smelling it probably as well.
Talking of smoking there, again, under power, the 10th place, Lola T70 of Seiler.
Tony Seiler, yeah.
Tony Seiler,
yeah.
That's also just putting more than a haze of smoke out of the back of that.
Well, it's getting worse, isn't it?
It is getting worse.
I didn't seem to be coming from the exhaust. I think it's coming from an oil leak or something like that, I think.
Well, it's under power, it seems to be doing it. It's always a worry. It's lifted off now as he goes through the right-hand curve at the end of the course, coming to Arnard. But we'll just see, he's not doing anything on the overrun. It's when it goes back on power. He goes back on the throttle here. Does it haze again? Not so much there. It's just dived down a couple of inches. That's up behind what we think is the 67 Le Mans winner, number 45, the Ford Mark IV. Now that's where it's coming out of Arnard. That's where the smoke starts to come out again, under power from low revs. Lots of torque being used there, and that big V8, and that's where it really gets quite smoky. So let's hope that goes. It's got just under 5 minutes left to go, so I hope that car gets its way, makes its way to the end. Just got to nurse it home. Mark IV of the 67 Le Mans winning car, we think it is there, having blue flags, waved at Fury. Didn't really see Tony Seiler behind there. Tony Seiler, very wise and very experienced, just backed out of that, diving down the inside there. So I don't think the GT40, the Mark IV, had seen him, and indeed he was absolutely right to predict that he hadn't. It is, of course, lapping that car. So 43 and 59 have both got just under investigation a few minutes ago for pit stop penalty or pit stop infringement. So that'll be too short a time, and they've both indeed got. Now 43 has got a 1 lap penalty after the race, which is quite severe. That must be quite a short stop on the pit stop. 59 has got a 9-second time penalty. Now, quite normally, what tends to happen is sort of rule of thumb. Obviously, every organisation is slightly different, but rule of thumb tends to be that you're awarded back the time you've gained, which to make it be only fair. And 9 seconds there for the 59 car, which is the Ford GT4, the car which we've been talking about, the Ford GT40. No, Mark IV, 19 Stuckey, Cholly, and Yearley in that car. That's to say, that's running 20th. That's good. It's a 9-second penalty about it, so they must have fallen short of their pit stop window by 9 seconds. The one that was not in the top 10, 43. I think it's much further down the screen, to the point that's actually on the second screen, to be honest. But and the 45 car pulling off.
Oh dear, what a shame.
Now, that had no issues at all. It was going fairly slowly. I thought, well, as in not quite the pace of some of the others, but it was not a problem. It had been doing that pace all race. But the number 45 Mark IV Ford, the car that we believe, or Andrew certainly believes, it actually won Le Mans here in 1967. Getting a lot of footage and coverage which suggests we are probably right. That has retired, sadly, with just 2 minutes 30 seconds to go of a 43-minute race. Nothing coming out of it, no smoke, nothing evidential to why the car has pulled over to the right, but it is certainly there.
Might be transmission, I suppose.
Beautiful looking.
We need to give a shout out really to Nick Sleep and Alex Montgomery, two British guys who in a Lola T70 there in 3rd place. They've been having a good run, and Andrew Fletcher is 4th, and followed by the 57 car, which is 57 is, according to the entry list, Philip Hottinger, but not according to our timing screens.
Well, we're on to the last lap, and we've just come back camera-wise from looking at that glorious Ford Mark IV. I keep wanting to call it a GT40, I've got to stop doing that. It is a Mark IV, it's a different iteration from 1967, the car that won here in that year. And we're on to the final lap now. We've got looking for our race leader, which will be the number 58 Ferrari 312P, driven this weekend. It's on our programme as Remo Lips and David Franklin. David Franklin hasn't actually driven that car. The owner has elected to have Remo Lips in it all the way through.
Oh, look at this lot! There's just so much fantastic racing all around the track. Don't know where to look next, do you really?
Was that you've got a Lola T70, a Ford GT40, Chevron and another GT40, all trying to get the same bit of space coming out the chicane, the Ford chicane. Presumably the Fords get bragging rights over that because it's named after their car.
Yeah.
Don't think it works like that, does it?
All sliding the back end out as he accelerates away.
Well, it's final lap anyway. The rear
Best
tyres
part of
shot
6
anyway,
litres
so
is
why
Chevy
not
power.
enjoy it?
Yeah.
So I just waited to get eyes on our race leader. We keep saying it's got final lap up on the screen now. It's quite a while around here. Fastest lap of the race, of course, unsurprisingly, does go to our race leader currently, which is Remo Lips in the 58 numbered 312P Ferrari with a 4:13. I think he was slightly quicker yesterday, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Here we go. Here it is. Here's our race leader. Interview now with about half a lap to go. Now, I think on the results of yesterday, we didn't see the results overnight. We'll look those up in a second for us to put the three together.
I'm sure.
But I'm pretty convinced this car's won it.
But we spoke to David Franklin.
Yes.
Yes, he said it had, I think. Just a quick shout out for another Lola T70. The 51 car, the DeSantis brothers. David Hinton has also been driving that. David Hinton is the British guy who has made a huge success of a somewhat replica event to this, the Daytona 24-hour Classic. And I know I saw a post from David, so excited to come over here and race at the mall for the first time. So they've made it through all 3 races. So congratulations to them, David Hinton. But here is the Ferrari. Heading down towards the Perlscher curves for the last time.
No, they didn't win the second part. Hart won that.
Oh, Hart won that.
But they were second.
So that might, but obviously Hart's out of the picture for the overall now.
Exactly.
Yeah, true.
So they won this car. I say they. I keep saying David Franklin is on the strap because it isn't there on the legend. But so race 1 was indeed won. This Plateau 5 was indeed won by this car.
I think the top 4 in this race is going to be the top 4 for the order of the whole thing. Snowy. You're waiting with the checkered flag now. And here it comes. Just 1 car to lap. And what an outstanding result for this Ferrari, driven in period by Chris Amon and Mario Andretti. And he takes the checkered flag and takes the overall victory in Plateau 5. So Ferrari wins at Le Mans. And the Yake Lola will finish in 2nd place. The Sleep Montgomery Lola T70 3rd. And then the best of 2-litre cars will be Andrew Fletcher. Swiss driver waves out of the car, and the helmet going to finish 6th place. Terrific result from him. Still cars, there's that, in fact, indeed, there's the number 12 car. It's got somebody another slower T70 to lap. And there he goes, straight through. Much more pace. A bit of a lock-up, though. And he will come home to take 2nd place. And we believe 2nd place overall. It wouldn't have been like that if the Hart car had finished, but it didn't.
Well, I'm just looking down the results for yesterday.
Yeah.
Whilst we're doing that, but the Ferrari did win it on its performance index.
Yes.
But its the race 2 yesterday.
Yeah.
Sorry, it actually finished 13th on the track according to this. But, but Fletcher's Chevron won it outright.
You said that was the race of the night?
Correct.
Well, okay, so I take back what I said, but I think the actual overall result of this is going to be quite complicated because you've got to add all the 3 times together. How far was it behind?
Now, hang on, that's different. I'm just looking at that. So this is almost 0.4 of a second between them. So it was Hart. Lola won in this race 2 during the night.
Disregard that then.
With the Lips Ferrari in 2nd place.
Yes.
The first race that we covered yesterday, let's get that up in front of us. The first race was won by the Chevron, it says, with the Lips, this car, the Ferrari, being 13th.
Oh, how can that be? There must have been other penalties. It's not what we saw on the screen.
Because that's not what we saw on the screen and not what we saw on the track. That's why, exactly why I'm just double checking, making sure I'm not going completely mad, Andrew, but it's not what we saw.
Go to the end of the classification. Does it give any people with penalties?
No, it's just a bulletin saying.
Well, no, it might do down here. No.
No, it's just not started. Pole position, fast.
Yeah.
We've got that, but yeah.
Well, that is a bit of a mystery then.
Because it's not what we called and what we saw on track, was it?
No.
But it is the official classification from Peter Auto, the organisers. It does have that car at number 58, Lips and Franklin, as it says. We know Franklin didn't drive it, but classified as 13th overall.
How far behind?
4 minutes 27
4
seconds.
minutes.
Which is effectively given it a 4 minutes 16 lap. It's a lap down.
Penalised at a lap for something.
Sounds like it, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So obviously must have post our race finish. So what we did call what we saw on track, quite right, is not what's on the results.
I'm going to go and try and find Henry Fletcher a little later. We've got a little break because I'd love to clarify this.
Yes, that's important.
Yeah. And he'll have a view.
As drivers always do.
Yeah. That was the start. The Ferrari got away very slowly for some reason and was swamped a bit. There they are, climbing up out of the pits area. These fabulous T70s, the helmet, the Mark II, Mark IV, fabulous Fords from the late 60s. And lots of entertainment there because we had the incident between the 20 and the 25. We're going to see that in a moment. Into that first chicane, the one that goes right and left. Now, is this the incident here?
No, wrong part of the circuit.
No, wrong part of the circuit. No, there was another car involved, wasn't there?
Yeah. Just footage of these two in the highlights of them battling it out, 20 and 25. Fletcher in these two glorious little sports 2 litres. An absolutely fantastic battle. There's the Ferrari coming through to take its 3rd place as it was at the time into the full chicane.
David Hart in the dark green Lola T70.
We never actually got into it, did it? It was Oliver Hart that drove.
I mean Oliver Hart, yeah.
It failed, had some technical failure where it stopped at the Dunlop Bridge.
And then Jacquet in the guy that raced a lot in the French GT Championship, doing a good job in his T70 with a sort of Surtees arrow on, but not quite. John CSCs did run these T70s. Bit of an overshoot there.
Yeah, that was a Scuderia for the Panetti
car. And there was the Hart car sitting there. Left rear wheel was hanging off.
We didn't see that, did we, on the other side of the camera angle for the number 45 Mark IV Ford. That's why that retired.
And then the checkered flag.
Well, Remo Lips certainly won that on the track. We will keep a look on these. We'd say, as Andrew said, we have a bit of a gap. We've got another couple of races to go, another hour to coverage. But
we will be able to get the results from the overall in the end.
Yeah, just what I was going to say.
It could be an hour. I don't know how long it will take for them to compute that.
But during our break, we will go and get the classification, the official classification of those, aggregate of those 3 races together, so we can inform you properly exactly what happened. Because what we saw on track yesterday appears to have had a penalty applied to that car. So we'll just make sure we do that.
I just wonder if you could interrogate your screen whether they've put the result up yet for the confirmed result, overall classification for the Plateau 4 that we'd seen. So Snowy will just have a little look at that in a moment. A little bit busy in the box at the moment. 4 minutes 13.096 for Lips, fastest lap in that ex-Andretti Avon Ferrari. And then Micheron in the helmet suddenly must drop to 11th on the last lap. John Sheldon, we didn't mention in this, John Sheldon, veteran racer, had a huge accident here a long time ago, but has carried on racing. Yeah, should be able to, is that the...
So this is the classification you're asking, Andrew, for the Plateau 4 overnight race?
No, no, I'm thinking that they may have now computed it and got the actual overall result, the general classification of the 3 for Plateau 4.
No, that certainly hasn't been posted online just yet.
It hasn't?
Not
No,
yet.
no.
No, it takes a little bit longer than that. So,
Yeah,
so I was moving one ahead of you there.
I didn't know whether some man is scribbling with a pencil or whether the computer's adding it all up. But it will be there later.
And as soon as we have it, we'll inform you, of course.
Yeah. Famous names there. Gerard Larousse ran the Renault Formula 1 team for years, also was a Le Mans winner.
He's got some credibility then, hasn't he? Really?
He got a bit of credibility, yes.
It must be quite hard as in a Formula 1 team or any discipline, but certainly any motorsport discipline.
You need to read about the history of all that back then. It was quite a bit of controversy. But it was personal as well.
To have somebody that runs the team who's actually won the level of Le Mans, it's quite impressive, isn't it?
Yeah. So this is the next grid. This is the E-Deck sport car there. Well-known team in modern Le Mans racing. And the E-Deck group, who sponsor football teams. They sponsor all sorts of things. There's a car in Pescarolo style colours.
Ready.
That guy obviously also races a Mercedes-Benz GT3 car. So Edwin Stuckey, we said that, Stuckey and Cholly, and the car in period, Henri Pescarolo and Jean-Pierre Beltoise in Altera.
Just for clarity, you're not referring to Hans Stuck and calling him Stuckey, as it's...
No, that's very good,
It really is his name, Stuckey.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I said it yesterday, but the late Mick Elford just died recently, managed this in Altera team for a while. And here's a marvellous Vorsteiner Tosh, which I think will go very well, and did win this overall 4 years ago. Got a 3-litre DFV engine in the back. I believe it's a DFV. So we're getting ready for the next plateau, and so it's coming up. Will of course be Plateau 6, the most modern cars in this extravaganza of spectacle and speed. And we've got some similar looking Lolas to the ones we saw before, but with mainly 3-litre engines in. We've got quite a lot of Porsches, including 935s. What's this here?
Well, this what Andrew is alluding to is, of course, one of my favourite cars here. It's going to be, because it's got an Aston Martin badge on the front. I'll make have no shame in admitting that. Paul Chase Gardner driving this car, what's known as the Muncher.
Muncher.
In its tradition, and its very patriotic red, white, and blue livery.
And there's its sticker, a copy of its sticker from
1977 when it came here. It was a privateer car, as you could do much more in those days.
This is the fabulous Mirage M6.
Mac Allister at the wheel with
a Derek Bell helmet.
He's even got Bell written on the helmet as well. So
yeah.
Obviously, I hope he's got permission from Derek Bell. I'm sure he has.
I'm sure he has. Chris been around a long time. Doesn't really have the pace in that car that maybe somebody, a professional driver, would have.
Patrice Lafargue in the 65 Lola T298, which is of course the E-Deck sports car.
And he's the man that has founded and runs EDEC. I think they're in property development, all kinds of things.
He found his way around Le Mans pretty well yesterday, didn't he?
Yeah, he did, yeah.
Then again, when you've got Nick Manassian probably as a driver coach, as I'm guessing,
Yeah,
Nick
so
Manassian will have had some involvement in that.
Yeah.
It's, you can't really go far wrong. I wouldn't imagine there's a lot about Nick Manassian that says about racing cars that isn't spot on.
No. Now, we know that Lafargue won the one yesterday. And I see McAllister's now shown, maybe McAllister had a problem, because I was a bit surprised how far he finished down yesterday. And then I see that he's now on the front row of the grid for this one. So maybe he had a good race. Maybe that they'd sorted out a problem. What we really need, Snowy, here is about 20 different runners hurtling around the paddock, isn't it?
We could do it, yes.
Yeah.
It'd be good. But,
maybe we'll have them next year.
We haven't got that, so we've got to just go with what we have.
Yeah.
So let's have a look at the classification for this race yesterday. I know we've got it up on the time. I want to see, just make sure there's no...
Well, cars leaving the paddock area, and another absolutely massive field. Best part of 70 cars. So Snowy's just interrogating the timing system.
Well, again, the reason I'm really investigating it is that we're getting another anomaly. Green flag lap is out there. So according to my timing results, which is Peter Auto, the official organiser of this, so credible source. Race 1, got race 2 during the night. The classification, we have Patrice Lafargue winning that as well.
Yes, but was a Mirage further up then?
But we then have Caron in 2nd place, who on our timing screen at the moment is listed as 6th. Eggman was 3rd in the Cheetah. So it was the Lola, Chevron and Cheetah on the podium according to, it is the provisional classification overnight. 40-minute race that reduced to 40 minutes during the night. So that should give us cars 65, 7, 53 and 64 being the front 2 rows, which is not quite what we have on the screen, which is normally in order. It does have Patrice Lafargue in the T298 from 1979 on the front row, on pole position actually.
Yeah, but for some reason McAllister's shown in
Just wait for our camera shot, Andrew, and we can then inform viewers and listeners that which cars, it doesn't really matter what the screen says, it's what's physically happening on track.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we're just looking at the rest of the midfield coming through. 512 BB LM Ferrari there. Still, again, one of the most gorgeous shapes of the car, I think. It's not an Aston, so I did manage to do another brand. Look at that. Branching out at my old age. So what we're trying to discern really is who is alongside Patrice Lafargue. Now, here we go, here's our grid, and it's the number 49 Mirage of McAllister, which is not what it says on my official results from yesterday. So let's dispense with that. As we said, whatever on the track is important.
I think it's something to do with the lap times I did.
Not to do with the finishing order.
No.
So the finishing order of the previous race does not necessarily set the grid as we thought.
No, I think it's maybe done on lap times. Might be able to find that in. But I think there's some rules section in the programme. Let's just grab that. Nice to get this confirmed. The programme's a magnificent document. It costs €10.
It's €10 well spent.
Yeah. See, all the times are showing there on the starting grid are like practice times.
Well, they are. Here we go. So if we look up the grid via Peter Auto website, rather than going on to classification of the race, you say the two may be slightly contradictory, but we do have exactly what we have here. Patrice Lafargue on pole position, effectively on the front row with his time of 4:15. Yeah, I think that's absolutely right. Chris McAllister is alongside in the Mirage on a 4:18. Second row is 32.
I'm sure that's
Christian Duby
yeah.
in a Porsche 935 with a 421. That would make sense. Richard Meals behind him in the Taj on a 422. So it does appear to be that is the way. So it's obviously the time they've done during the race.
Yeah.
It appears sets the time, not necessarily the finishing order. Because quite often when you've got these aggregate races, as you quite rightly say, you have qualifying, race 1. That's it. That's pretty clean and simple. Whatever the finishing order of race 1 tends to set the grid for race 2, as it were. Yeah. That appears not to be the case here. So our time stream is correct, and it's the classification we need to bypass, really. So that's got to the bottom of that. Whatever it is, we've got on the front row, we're going to have a rolling start for this, of course. It's going to be a 43-minute race. We're not very far off the start of that race, but we're going to have, as normal, this one, a rolling start for this particular one, and it's going to be on the front row. Patrice Lafarge on the right-hand side, and Chris McAllister in the Mirage right next to him. Right behind will be Richard Meal and Jean-Claude Dubé. Roberto Titiriani in the Acela right behind that, and Ludovic Caron in the Chevron right next door as well. So that's the first 3 rows. It's going to be an interesting there. The 512 BB Ferrari's up there on the 4th row. That's alongside Alexander Rensvig, he's driving that, and I think Sam Hancock shares that car with him, the 512 BB, I think. Maybe he doesn't. And alongside him is going to be Eggman in the Cheetah. First 4 rows. Cars are making their way round, Andrew. We've got green flag lap, as it were, green flag lap, formation lap, warm-up lap. There's various titles, but it is really the formation lap officially.
Page 91 of the programme, the starting grid for the first round of each grid will be established according to the times achieved during the day practice. For the following round, the grid will be again in accordance with its best lap achieved during the previous race. In the case of a car missing on the pre-grid, a reserve car will be allowed to enter according to the times achieved during the day practice session.
There you go, answered perfectly.
Yep.
Job done. Thank you, Andrew. That's resolved that. So the policy disinformation has ceased. We've got it absolutely right now, finally. So that's why the grid's exists. So looking at the classification, which is the right thing to do. I apologise.
But it also means that McAllister got a quick lap in.
Yeah. Which is vital for the start of this.
Yeah, Chris has driven some fantastic cars in the past, Formula 1 cars. He's got Lotus 49, perhaps Jimmy Clark, I'm not certain about that, but he's got a marvellously cars American driver. And I particularly like that Mirage, which was designed by a guy called Len Bailey, built by JW Automotive when basically the 917 Porsche was banned, so it was built for the 1972 season. They did try it with a Westlake engine in it as well. The car won with Derek Bell at the wheel, and the 1973 Spa 1,000 kilometres. It's gone through our picture. It's the blue. This is the Golf coloured car that I'm talking about here. Derek Bell and Mike Hale won in the Spa 1,000 kilometres. It didn't win here, but I believe in 73, Howden Ganley, great New Zealand racing driver, journalist, all-round good guy, and Vern Schuppen, Australia, finished second. Hancock.
I was right to midfield getting just share with Sam Hancock.
Yeah.
Vice versa.
Yeah. It's one of his clients. Yeah. Yeah, Sam came up out of Formula Palmer Audi. And the guy that when he first started racing as a teenager, I thought he was going to go a long way in racing. And he has, but in a different direction to the one I expected.
Yeah, rather as Stuart Hall said, it takes a lot of budget to get to Formula and Formula 1 and single-seater stuff. So I think he's done very well for himself, Sam Hancock, and a very good driver. Safety car lights are out. I haven't seen the normal hand come out of the window as we have before for most of them. That might just be one particular thing.
Great shot of the Mirage there with its little tiny front wheels as well. Not really tiny, but 13-inch tiny.
Is that safety car pulling into... It is indeed. So we're about to start the race. Plateau 6, third attempt, as it were, third running of it. 43 minutes to go, and they cross the line. Who's going to get up into the Dunlop area first? Now, the Vorsteiner car going to look down the inside.
Yeah, he's going down the inside.
He's got the lead. Patrick Lafarge just losing out there. The Vorsteiner car nearly in charge, having a look down the inside. Now Patrick Lafarge takes a lunge down the inside and reclaims what was the lead, i.e. pole position. So two changes of lead before the first corner.
Not bad for a 60-odd-year-old industrialist, is he, Patrick Lafarge? McAllister dropped to second place. Then it's the Taj, which, as I said, won here 4 years ago. car originally designed by Jörg Obermoser.
The Mirage M6 of McAllister tucked up behind the rear wing of the Lola T298 of Patrice Lafarge. Already in the USA, tucked up there, was at trying to get a good run, trying to get a toe off it, actually coming out of test route, probably just about a car length between them, so hasn't broken that toe just yet. And who'd have thought with 43 minutes to go of a race, you have a change of position twice by turn 2.
Yeah. In the Taj, that's the gold Vorsteiner car, is Yves Shamama. Seen him racing over at Daytona.
Those front three starting to break away already.
Yeah, and that 935 goes well, doesn't it? Green and white one. Look, Ferrari 512 BB in LM trim, 1982.
This is Plateau 6, the final running of the 3 goes ahead with this. Of course, it's the 1972 to 1981 category cars.
Yeah. I really like that Mirage. It looks absolutely great, doesn't it? There it is, coming into the front of our picture with the Vorsteiner car, just dancing about a little bit on the brakes. I think we look at this side by side, similar engines, but just a bit more.
Isn't it?
Yeah, just got a bit more drive out of the corner. Sun corner.
I mentioned Sam Hancock driving the 512 BB LM from 1979. I'm going to point out there are actually 4 of those in this race.
Yeah.
Not just the one, there are 4 of them.
Yeah.
3 from 1979 and 1 from 1980. Glorious cars. So one of my sort of teenage adolescents watching those cars go around along. Slightly more drawn to the GT cars. Don't really know why.
Maybe a bit more attainable in a way.
Perhaps it was that road relation, Neil. In fact, it was a road car, but in race trim. Perhaps I'm just not a purist. I probably should tell me off of that now. Just saying, well, you always were a weirdo, mate.
Where's Lafarge?
Way out of camera shot at the moment, I think. I think it's no, he's
got to third. So what happened there?
I don't know. He's got his headlights on like he was leader still, but he's dropped back into the clutches of this.
He must have had a spin, hadn't he?
Well, he's run wide, had a spin or some misdemeanor or indiscretion dropped him right back. I'm sure he'll be charging back through. Let's have a look. Yes, it was sector 2. He's
what's 6 time?
6 seconds slower.
Yeah.
Dropped 6 seconds on the other 2.
Possibly spun at the first chicane.
Coldish tyres, perhaps not got the heat into the one, but it puts the Tosh into the lead, does it not?
Yes, Shamama's in the lead.
From McAllister,
yeah. That M1 Pro car, a Glazer, had a good overtake. Oh, we've got cars everywhere now off. Oh, damage to the 20. The Chitan 3-litre low, I think that is. That's the 280. And that's Chris Fox. Chris Fox, who's been sharing that car with Nick Pink. Chris, if you've got a Lola T70 or a car like this, Chris is the guy you go to for the spares.
The lead's up to the front right of that little Lola T70.
Yeah, but
they got that car off as well.
He is.
I don't think the 2 are connected necessarily. Hang on, we've got a replay of this.
Oh, it was.
Yes, it was very big, very much so. So the Chris Fox had a spin and was during the track, still rotating and took out the M1 Pro car.
We don't know if it's Chris or Nick Pink. I have to admit, I don't know the crash helmets of those 2.
BMW it was that took out there, but there's some 3-litre TSLs in this.
Somebody else with a bit of bodywork hanging off as well. And
damage to the...
well, it's not a problem with the E-deck car because it should be, if it had a spin, it should be pulling away from this group again.
Yeah.
Or has it? Is everybody closed up in the slow zone? Is there a slow? No, there isn't a slow zone. Just a flag there.
There's a yellow flag there. That's all. Yeah. Double yellows, but there's no slow zone. We've not witnessed one of those since yesterday.
Look,
he's
got a problem, I think.
Yeah, the car's been just that little Lola has just been passed by the Warsteiner M1, which is looking very. This front split. This front split is going to be a front split. I can't remember. The splitter dragging on the ground in the centre there. Looks a little bit of damage to that. That's got a 512 BB LM right behind it. That's the Rittweger Hancock car. Now, and the pro car is Glazer.
Yeah, Sebastian Glazer, German driver.
Yeah, Patrick Lafargue now being swamped by other cars, dropping back down to the order.
Yeah, he'll be coming into the pits.
He can turn those headlights off and bring that in, because that car's not going anywhere at any particular pace, which is a great shame. Incident between cars 20 and number 2, so that's the BMW I was trying to identify, which makes it the one that's not on your list, of course. Those two had it coming together to say, and unfortunately it was the rotating Lola that it was a Chevron, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Chevron, sorry, my apologies. The rotating Chevron that had obviously lost the back end, was coming back across the track on the second part of that spin, and just sideswipes the corner of the BMW. He did try and avoid it, but that's what's done the damage to the front right and front left of those two cars, respectively. So change of position here between the 512 BB Rittweger Hancock has got ahead of, in the BB Ferrari has got ahead of the Warsteiner liveried BMW M1 Pro car.
Just a bit on Sebastian Glazer. He raced last season in the full Porsche Carrera Cup Germany Series, and he's 33rd. But there's a sort of amateur class in that as well. I suspect he was in, and he's also raced that BMW M1 on occasion, and he's raced Escorts, 993 Porsche GT. Got plenty of experience and he's rowing it along pretty jolly well, really.
Waved yellow still at that part where the M1 and the Chevron came together. Does go green just for the end of the lap there for us, though, so curves there, there's a waved yellow, so they can't do it. But one of the fastest parts of the circuit there, so you can't have any overtaking opportunities at the moment through that section of the caution curves. I'm sure if the cars are cleared away, that will change soon enough, and we can get the green flag in that section there, so the racers can take advantage of that fast sweeping set of curves. So battle at the front is Kamama in the Toj, currently a whopping 0.3 of a second in the lead.
Yeah, it's a good race.
I exaggerate for clarity, as I often say, but a great first sector there by McAllister in the Mirage. Just the first person to dip under 40 seconds for that first sector. So he wants to maintain that throughout the lap, and that 0.3 of a second. 0.7 is across the line this time. My apologies, 0.3 last time, so just a little bit of a change. 4:12. This is how close it is at the front of it. Skema in the Toj, 4:12.885. McAllister in the Mirage, 4:12.931. Just a tenth in it in lap times.
Yeah, just googling a bit on the Swiss driver, Yves Shamama. I have interviewed him in the past on the podium in Daytona, that I do remember, but just trying to get a little bit more of his history. Yeah, so it's pretty close. So McAllister going much better than he did yesterday in the golf. So maybe he did have a problem in yesterday's race. I did expect him to be right up there, and then he wasn't. Yeah, Shamama, as I said, won this plateau in 2018 in the Dodge, and other success in classic endurance racing, his heritage touring cars, came out of VDV racing really. I think he might be a dentist, I'm not quite certain of that. I think he might be. Got that 1976 Dodge Charger in there as well. So, and those old NASCAR cars.
I just want to say yeehaw.
Yeehaw,
For some reason,
yeah.
I don't know why, but
You told me yesterday I couldn't say Yank Tank. Was it just?
So you went and repeated it?
Yeah, but what's wrong with that?
Dodge Charger, was it Dodge Charger or Dodge Challenger that was used in the Dukes of Hazzard? It was Challenger, wasn't it?
Yeah. And Glazer's making that BMW M1 Pro car go much quicker than the others.
Now, I can just confirm that he's having had a close-up shot at Darnage in through the window of the 512 BB, and it is Sam Hancock at the wheel of that car. That's the number 4 car, the 1982 512 BBLM Berlinetta Boxer Le Mans.
Oh, yeah.
Boxer being for its engine, being a Boxer engine, flat engine.
Flat engine. So it's a sort of unusual shape, isn't it, really? Sort of very long and curvy.
Yeah, I mean, it made very successful Boxer engines with the Subaru's rally cars. They've had Boxer
yes,
engines.
yeah. Well, obviously,
famously.
Ferrari had the Boxer engines in Formula 1 cars for a while.
Yeah.
Huge crowd here. We couldn't believe how many Brits we saw coming here. As I said, there's probably not a Caterham left in Britain. Probably not an MGB either, judging by the crowd. Yes,
Well, I have to say, as the proud owner of an MGB GT from 1972, was my father's car. Much as I love it, and it's reliable and fine, I'm quite happy to pot around England in it, all over the different circuits.
Yeah.
In fact, I came to a Donington Sorry Festival in it last year, as you commented. I'm not sure I'd want to bring it down to Le Mans.
Well, you talk
Possibly not
about
the most
that.
comfortable thing.
Somebody said to me, "Why didn't you come in your Turner?" Well,
How long have you got?
I need a lot of time to get here. Although my old mate Andy Dawson, I rather was just giving it a very nice sort of dust over, including a new diff and new front brakes and stuff. Thanks, Andy. Your invoice is in the post, I'm sure. And so I'm hoping to have a few runs in the Turner. Turner do a lot of racing, and maybe we'll talk about that later, but I don't think they ever raced at Le Mans. There's an interesting battle, isn't it, between these two. You've got the Chitan-sponsored car. Oh dear! That does not look good at all. I think.
Is that Michael Schenkel in getting that car right to a marshal as it's on fire? He's fully aware of that already, because it quite literally is the engine bay area is on fire. He's got the belts out and undone very quickly, and the car's jumping forward. How's he doing that? It's like
the marshals are there quickly. There's a lot of British marshals.
It's on a bit of a slight uphill.
Yeah.
Now they need to. We can see the marshal's car until we can see that there's fire actually in the engine bay still. They need to come round exactly as they are now.
Absolutely.
Straight away on it, because there's still flames around the. It looks like it looks to me like an oil fire there.
Yeah, that's the Cheetah, the G601 Cheetah, very rare car. Michael Gensmeyer, as you say, from Germany.
I thought it said Schenkel.
So I think it's the Cheetah, isn't it?
I don't think so.
Is it 38?
Yes.
Yeah, that's the Cheetah.
No, contrary, that must be wrong then, because it was it said Schenkel on the screen.
Yeah, he's the other
Masso.
driver. He's the other driver. There's Data Masso having a problem.
Looks odd without its rear wing, doesn't it? Looks like it needs a rear wing on it, that. Look at the car, the same era, got them just right in view now. BMW M1 Pro car, BASF sponsor from their tapes, the time we talked about yesterday.
Yeah, we did.
That Di Tommaso Pantera probably different regulations or classes at the time, but the BMW sporting a rear wing, as does the 512 BBLM, now in shot as well for us, now in frame for us. But that De Tomaso Pantera minus a rear wing, just it looks like a road car still. It's that rear wing that makes them look a bit more like a racing car.
Yeah.
It's really not about how good it looks, about how well it goes, isn't it, really?
Yeah, absolutely.
So it was Ted Rouge that car went off. It is smoking really quite heavily. I was just extinguished after we got on it. I would like to get a better shot of that. There we've got. So pit window has now just opened. We are 27 minutes to go, just going under. So pit window is open. Window will close in 13 odd minutes, 30 minutes, 51 seconds. That's just opened.
Lots of pit activity at the moment.
Yeah, our first pit visitor being the number 45 Porsche. That's a long list to go and find it. There's lots of Porsches in this.
Yep, it's actually Vincent Cognier and Christopher Decoteau.
Although I don't think there was a driver change this segment, so I think it's a BMW 3-litre CSL in. Eric Pinson on the door of that car. That's a number 14 BMW, which is Kurt Thiel is the driver of that car, and the only one in. So Eric Pinson has been a period driver with that on the door, I'm guessing. Still one of my favourite cars, Andrew. I am slightly biased. I did have a BMW 3-litre CSL.
Oh, right,
ago.
fabulous.
Had to sell it to buy a house, though.
Oh, yeah.
Well, put a deposit on a house, but I did buy the house.
That's an interesting colour scheme, the German stripes down the middle of the blue car here. We're leading two still pretty close. Chris is certainly keeping Shimama honest, isn't he? Right there. Chris runs a big engineering company back in the States. Well, it's called McAllister Machinery, actually. Another BMW, different shape, 2002.
Yeah, the famous little 2002s. My father was a great BMW advocate in the 70s when these cars were new, and he had you'll like this, he had a BMW 2002. We actually had a 2000 first.
Oh, did you? Yeah.
Then a 2002, then a 2002 Ti, then a 2002 TII. Now we've got, just right to camera, we've got another car.
Oh, that's that American thing, the Yang Tank.
Look, I'll let you have Yang Tank. I don't think you call it American thing in a disparaging way like that. Look,
he's got a big V8 engine in, and he's looking for it.
Got a very NASCAR door net, which is contemporary now, but wasn't in period for these guys, was for this car in period. But the net's now being thrown over the door and helpfully covered up the competition number, so we can't see what it is.
Second ticking away, he's waiting to go. And now quite a lot of traffic to negotiate. See how the gaps altered between those two cars. And Porsche has seen him, yes.
Very much so. Left plenty of room for the torch at the apex. A great use of the mirrors there.
There's the Spanish sponsorship on it. One Jewish sponsorship. La Grasse in his chevron. The car that was raced in period in Spain. And the French driver with Vietnamese heritage, looking at his name.
A good close-up of that car and looking into the dash, and you need a bit of gaffer tape on a racing car. This one's got yellow on the dash with a big black Sharpie written on it. It says 60k equals 4,500 revs, 80k equals 5,500 revs. So we know it does 20k to 1,000 revs now.
Yeah, we do. And we also know that that's the pit speed limit.
Correct.
The pit speed limit is, I believe, 80. A Toblerone sponsored car.
I was doing my drive a bit. I was working out what it did per 1,000 revs, and therefore what does it rev to? Therefore, what's its top speed?
Yeah, you could. Well,
Sorry.
Snowy, you're the one.
So,
The Perfetti is well known in the World Endurance Championship, with a lot of success. I think it must have won the GTE AM.
the Stucky Inalterra in,
yeah.
Stucky, Cholly and Yearly.
Yeah, but the
Sorry, Andrew, it was a car you were talking about earlier. I know you're very fond of that, so I wanted you to see that car in.
Yeah,
so
looking good.
Huge pit activity, pit activity going on behind us. We can hear it literally outside from our commentary box here. It's suddenly a flurry of activity. The noise has increased. Now, our race leader, the Mirage, second place car, McAllister, is into the pit. So where's our race there? Great shot there of the Derek Bell liveried crash helmet on that Mirage, and right behind it is the 1977 Ram 1 Aston Martin Muncher. Paul Chase Gardner's put his indicator on to come into the pits. He just put the wrong side on, the left-hand side. But there you go. Great to see that car out. That car worked on overnight yesterday, and its middle stint overnight. This is the number 76 Aston Martin. I can't use the term that Dave used, but let's just say it lunched a drive shaft on the first lap. He didn't swear, but it's not a term I would use on a broadcast, put it that way. And it was a colloquialism, not a swear word. But it did definitely lunch one of its drive shafts. It was known as the Muncher in period because it just ate its brake discs, hence it's got its name. So it did a drive shaft this time. They worked 2.5 hours through the night under that car to get the drive shaft sorted and fixed, and it's back out again and just on its first pit stop.
There it is,
Double yellow flags at turn 5 and a yellow flag at zone 4, so I'm not quite sure what that is for the moment. Now,
I shot at the alternator at the back there.
Man that's been on the charge sector time wise has been McAllister in the Mirage M6. In fact, perfectly on our camera now, just in our pit lane camera man showing us a great close-up there of McAllister's helmet, which is a homage to Derek Bell, no less, of course, who drove this car in period. Golf Mirage. Number 5 cross out on the back of the car. The number obviously runs normally, and we've got a Porsche, 55 Porsche off now. We always hit the barrier not once but twice out. This is the number 55
gone in hard,
924 Carrera GTR. That's
guys moving around.
Yeah, fine. It's just
right rear wheel here. We see what happened.
That's a very the first impact's quite a big one. That's a very odd way to go.
Something break?
It's almost like something's broken there, like a toe link or something. Because yes, it has. You can see it now. Yeah, what? Hit that. Cause and effect. It might have just hit the barrier then broken it, but it's under braking, it's just lost the rear and snapped over to the left-hand side and connected with the barrier. It's quite hard.
We did just
driver out okay though, Andrew, as you said, absolutely fine.
We saw a bit earlier in the pits the Perfettis, and the well-known one, of course, is Egidio Perfetti, who won the World Endurance Championship GTE AM category in the 18-19 season with a Porsche, and usually racing with your Bergmeister and Patrick Lindsay. But
the honourable Patrick Lindsay, wouldn't it?
He's an Italian, but he races. Well, he has a Norwegian passport. Don't ask me why. And they're one of the biggest sweet manufacturers in the world. There's my VSD car from yesterday, testing you. What's severe? I told you yesterday, what does VSD stand for? Think of Days magazine.
It was at Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday.
No, Friday, Saturday, Sunday's a weekend magazine.
What? I didn't know it was a midweek magazine. I'm thinking
it's a general interest sort of magazine. Very popular in France. A big publication in France. They're in a slow zone, aren't they? There.
Yeah, but that's the. I'm quite surprised to see that because that's the Lafarge car out still. I'm going to call it the Edex Sport, which I shouldn't do, but it's the.
He hasn't. I don't think has he not stopped yet?
No, he's not. No, because we said that car's slowed down. We thought that was going to come into the pits, but we
did. That's right. We did. So it's dropped down the
It's dropped right down the order.
Yeah, they've been in the pits, they've done something, and it's
It's into the pits
circulating
now.
again.
No, it's coming into the pits now.
Again, yeah.
So we have 17, just coming up to 17 minutes remaining. This, it's the and Neil Todge SC 304 from 1976.
I don't think Richard Meal has driven it.
No.
I think it's been Yves Shamama all the time. Sweeps around the BMW. Very different sorts of racing machinery. And maybe we'll get an idea of what's wrong with this now. They're looking in the engine bay. And he is
He's undoing the belts.
finished.
Yeah, he's getting out.
no.
Yeah, they're holding the stopwatch, the iPhone
batteries.
stopwatch, as you said, used now mostly in historic racing. Quite a lot of it use an iPhone because it's for the driver. It's so much easier to see.
I thought he was about to bail out then.
Well, it did look like it. He was certainly undoing
No,
his-
obviously just adjusting his belts.
Yeah. Engine's running, rev counter's running around, ticking around,
Yeah.
so it's off out again. Ooh,
Well, what's all that? Somebody on the inside.
Is that a 512 BB?
It's
No, it's
gone
a
into
Pro
the
car.
barrier.
No, it's one of the Pro car.
yeah.
One of the BMW Pro
It's a
cars.
BASF1. BASF1, isn't it?
Does look like it. Now, I think it's actually parked to the right-hand side, but smoking heavily. I don't think it's actually connected with anything.
All right.
There's
Okay.
some of that smoke's emanating from the louvers on the rear window over the engine, so that indicates an engine issue for it. Now the Porsche that connects with the barrier is now being pulled out of the way by one of our telehandlers, as it were. Yeah, dragging because it's got that broken right rear toe link. I'm not sure, or right rear wheel, certainly that suspension unit there. I'm not sure whether that car actually had that fail first or then hit the barrier. The way it hit the barrier would certainly have done that, but the way it snapped into there suggests that failed first. Shimama, it is that serene in the Todge still, and we're just coming up to 15 minutes of this race to go.
Yeah, Swiss driver.
Pit window will close in just in 2 minutes' time, by the way. So anybody that hasn't, I think we have. Now, interesting though, we haven't had this car hasn't actually pitted.
No, it hasn't.
This car, the race leader hasn't actually pitted.
No.
I was just going to look at the order there. It's got 1 minute 50 to do that in, so he's
heading towards the
He'll
pits.
get there, but that could be quite tight actually. We'll just have a little look on that. But
I think it's going to be very tight.
yeah,
Some bit of body work, bit loose underneath the right front.
I think he'll make it in with a
Only just. I mean,
about 30 seconds to spare.
yeah.
Thereabouts. Of course, we've got a bit of not a slow zone, but a waved yellow, so we've got to go a little bit more cautiously
He's got to
through
get
Arnage.
down the straight.
The double waved yellows on the exit of an Arnage. That's because
It's not going to do it.
that's because of the BASF M1 on the right-hand side, I think.
It's not going to do it.
Well, it's 80k slow zone now. This could be pivotal, as you say, because we're coming up to exactly 1 minute left before the pit window will close. We've got to work how far away this car is. Shimama in the leading Todge might have just been caught out by double waved yellows here.
Yeah.
This is quite a long section of the track.
They might have done this in back timers and then not considered this possibility.
So our race leader is the only car with one exception not to have pitted, and that's pivotal. It's absolutely crucial that to get this car into the pits in time. I don't think they're going to do it at all. Our pit window closes in. Ooh, I don't want to do the countdown yet. We haven't quite got to 10. We're in 20 still, but we are very, very close. I don't think it's going to do it. I did predict it would be about 30 seconds to spare.
The 74 car is off the. Oh, no, what is that? That's 74.
So pit window, we're down to, here we go, we are 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. The pit window has closed and the Todge has not made it into the pits. It's just coming through the Ford chicane now. but that's just too late. I said it would make it just in time. Now it can't, so it's got to dive into the pits. The 28 Porsche in front also dives into the pit, but the pit window has closed. It's come up from race control on the screen. The pit window is closed. This is drama with 12 minutes of the race to go. Our race leader has not made it back to the pit stop. It would have been time to perfection had it not had a double yellow zone.
You've got to take that
That's
into
what they're
account,
allowed
haven't
for.
you?
Being caught out, so this is going to affect the race result entirely, because that car now has got to have some kind of penalty for not pitting within the pit window.
I'll be a bit controversial now. It has
Unlike you.
The co-driver is listed, although he hasn't done it, as Richard Meal,
Yep.
the big sponsor of this event.
Well, let's say that's not for us to adjudicate over. We can only comment on what
let's
actually
see
happens.
what happens here. Yesterday, there was people overtaking into a slow zone and getting penalised for it.
So, Shimama looking very relaxed there. Almost like he's undoing the crash. It's almost as if he kind of knows.
He might not realise, of course.
Looking very contemplative. No, just taking a drink of water. Contemplative. Well, of course, what you do in a situation like this is you get on with it, deal with the race, and discuss it with the officials later. I'm not saying argue. I'm just saying you discuss it later. The worst thing to do is get out of the car and not do anything else. So get to the end of the race and see what happens.
We've had a very good run for that number 6 Porsche 934/5 77 car, Roller and Simon. Just checking a little bit on them.
Now the Shimama will take the Taj, the car that was leading out of the pits in a moment, but that pit window has closed. We've got to see what happens with that one.
That's why I thought that number 6 car has got Patrick Simon in it. Very experienced, top-level Porsche driver. Big success in the Porsche Super Cup and so on. So that's why that's right up there. So he's Patrick Simon is driving with Lars Rona from Denmark.
Now, our 49 Mirage with McAllister at the wheel with just over 10 minutes of this race to go as it comes through the full chicaning. Goes on, starts another lap down the pit straight here at the third race of the Plateau 6 grid. So just to clarify, we've got a loaders off at the side. That's is that the 08?
Yeah,
car?
I think it is. Yeah. That's the Portuguese driver, isn't it? Carlos Bobo. That's one of the 3-litre ones.
So more waved yellows, double waved yellows. Just to clarify, in case you've only just joined us, we have plateaus, 6 plateaus of different eras of cars, each of which has 3 races. So this is race 3 of Plateau 6, and it's an aggregate of all 3 races. So they have a race on Saturday, a race during the night, and a race on the Sunday. In principle, is roughly the idea.
And coming up, we're going to take a break in a moment, and then after that we'll see the Plateau 1, 2, and 3. So the older cars. We've seen the more modern cars in these three plateaus we've been showing for you, and almost every race a massive 70-car grid.
Yeah, with our schedule, of course, we'll take a slight break and we'll have a parade of BMWs, then a parade, and you and I'll actually just call one more grid, Andrew, which is the Plateau 3 for the rest of the day. So we've got this race to go. However, on track we've got just under 9 minutes to go now of this, and I'm intrigued to see how this evolves, because obviously Shimama is leading on our timing screen with number 33 Taj. Second place is McAllister. It is only 44 seconds behind, but the drama that could unfold yet and play out and change the result of this race is that Shimama was caught out by a double yellow flag on a different part of the circuit, and timed his pit stop to perfection to get it in with, I would have said, with probably 30, maybe 20 seconds to go, but about 30 seconds in hand. So it's enough. You don't want to make a mistake in that. But the problem is he hasn't made a mistake. What's happened is there's been a double wave. You've got to slow down to 80 k's on the track. That's cost him a loaded track time and speed. That BMW, by the way, with the Porsche M1 splitter is getting worse, obviously because it's dragging on the ground, but that splitter may not survive that. But of course, what penalty will or will not be attributed to that car at the end of the race? because it did not get into the pits in
No,
time.
absolutely. Why would you take that gamble? You've got a pit window. You're not changing. It's not as if you're putting your slower driver in, so you want to go as far as you can.
No, exactly.
So why would you do it? You're risking everything.
I've always maintained exactly that. If you've got drivers, if you're not doing a driver change, no point. Why risk it? Get it in and get it done, actually, because pit stops, anything can happen.
Well, I mean,
a wheel lock can jam or something,
yeah,
whatever. Get the pit stop out of the way and get it done and settle down.
You might try and hang on hoping there's a yellow and you get a bit of a free one, that is the only reason, if they've got a full course yellow.
And I think you're more
not
pertinent,
here, but normally.
your more pertinent point, Andrew, is that of course that if you've got a faster driver of two, you leave your faster driver in for longer. Yeah. So yes, that makes sense.
Unless your slower driver starts. Yeah.
Well, yes, good.
Yeah,
Hoik him out of it and get the faster one in. Yes, it's a very good point. So it comes down to who's fastest and what the starting order is.
And who's paying, and if the slower bloke's paying an awful lot of money, so I want my seat time.
It might be that the slower driver owns the car. It's their prerogative. You normally,
absolutely.
in all the car, when I've done that in sort of, for want of a better description, pro-am lineup, you've always let the am go first because it's their prerogative. They're paying the bills. It's their car.
Yeah.
And also, my thought on that always was, particularly in historic racing, if anything failed on the car, and they didn't get their drive, I always felt that would be a really awful situation to put them in. So let them have the drive. If it breaks, we had it once on a Jaguar E-Type lightweight at Donington Historic Festival, and it did 3 laps of a 3-hour race, and the throttle cable broke, but the owner was in it. Yeah. At least he was in the car.
At least he got the start and he got the thriller started.
Correct.
All that,
It just keeps you on the Christmas card list.
Yeah.
So some telltale marks across the gravel there, just over our camera side. I don't think we've seen that incident, but there's some lovely drag lines through the gravel there. Somebody's gone all the way through there, perfectly straight, very neat and tidy. I hope they haven't connected with anything on the other side. So just coming into the final 6 minutes of this, we of course won't know this pit window penalty for potential pit window penalty, I should say, for the leading car until post-race. So it might be a case of that which we see on track isn't exactly what unfolds on the official classifications. When you get results announced, they always are announced as provisional, pending. It's why they will say that pending any penalties, results afterwards, whatever. So that might be the case here. I think it has to be, because it very clearly showed on the screen in front of us that the organisers' screen already said race control, pit window closed, as the car then turned right and came into the pit. So it was unequivocal. That said, who knows? We are just calling what happens. We're not making the decisions. Either way, we're at RSL Radio Studio Limited, and we will tell you either way what it is that happens.
So that we're going off air for a little while. We can take a bit of a breath, and then we can have a look at some of these results. We might be able to get the final results of some of the earlier races, hadn't we, by then? Certainly Plateau 3 and 4 bring you the definitive result. Meanwhile, a lot of traffic for Yves Samama, who will take the checkered flag, but doesn't necessarily mean he's going to be the winner. As we said, he didn't win it 4 years ago. He's got a couple of Porsches. Toad Hall car there. That Toad Hall was an American group and very much involved with Le Mans, and also published books about racing. In fact,
sounds like a fine institution to me.
Yeah, just trying to remember the name of the guy that ran Toad Hall. But, I think he published a famous book about Steve McQueen here, Kiss with Death. I think so. There's it. Beautiful looking, a very rare Todge. Michael Kaiser, that's the name of the man I was thinking about. Did indeed produce that book. It's about Steve McQueen. I fully recommend it, A French Kiss with Death. And it's actually the book that inspired me to do the film, Steve McQueen, the Man on the Mall. Puerto Rico on that car, look, the 06. Did see a couple of Mexican drivers in the driver's lounge.
Yes. At RSR, just making way at Arnage for the sports. That was the Chevron B 11 now. No, Porsche getting right behind it now for the...
That's a Patrick Simon car, the guy that's been so successful in Porsche Cup Deutschland, a lot of success on a racetrack, professional driver, and there he is in third place, about to... so I'm not sure of the heritage of the Puerto Rico on it, so... but it must have some history, but obviously he's rowing it along very, very well indeed. And, chasing that chevron of Ludovic Carroll of France, car that we think is prepared by Martin O'Connell. Martin O'Connell was down to drive it. I have seen some of Martin's boys here. I haven't seen Martin.
So we're on to the final lap. Just 9 laps completed, would you believe? That's how long this circuit is, that in 42 minutes still takes 9. Achieved 9 laps. 4 minute 12. Fastest lap of the race actually is it's credited to Meal in the 33 Taj, but we know it's
Shimama.
Because there was no change yet, but it is a 4 minute 10.6.
It's a nice car behind it. That was the Aston.
Yes, I'm trying not to fight the stereotype all the time.
The yellow car that's going to finish third in this race, or fourth in this race, was a class winner here in 1972. With Michael Kaiser, Sylvain Garant and Jürgen Barth. And it was raced here by a Puerto Rican driver called... Are you ready for this?
Yeah.
Diego Nicomendes Feblis Landiera. I've forgotten him.
So we're just into the last bits of this final, the last corners, my apologies, of this final lap. We've got our race leader, the Torch SC 304 from 1976, being driven by Yves Schmammer. Richard Mille didn't actually drive his car, he was on the entry list, but it was like the Lips of Franklin Ferrari, the second driver never.
A lot of that all through the entry,
exactly.
Really.
Yeah. He's also done the fastest lap of the car, which I think brilliantly is credited to the driver that hasn't sat in it. That's fantastic. 4 minute 10.6. He'll be happy with that. That's what the official time sheet said, so he'll take it.
And if people have not been to Bavarian at beer festivals, they might not know that Vorstein is a very well-known beer, and of course, big sponsor of motor racing in the past, including the Arrows Formula 1 team.
I would judge by its colouring. It's a gold standard beer.
It must be. Funny business beer in Germany. They tend to have
catch you out.
They tend to have regional breweries.
Yeah.
They don't seem to have great big ones.
One of the 935s going very slow there. No way yellow, so not quite sure why that 935 is keeping well out offline, being very helpful, considerate to other traffic users. That did just Yves Schmammer just had to negotiate his way around that very, very carefully.
Through the chicane. When I first came here, there wasn't chicane, there was no building there either. So here he is, heading, we think, to certainly the checkered flag, but maybe not victory, because he made that pit stop outside the window. I'm sure that will all come out in the wash. But a controlled and beautifully drive by the Swiss driver, Yves Schmammer, in the fantastic Dodge with the Cosworth DFE in the back, crosses the finish line, and, well, the discussions will follow.
Yeah, so that's not for us to comment on, or comment on it, judge it.
Certainly for us to point out.
Second place is McAllister, some 47.6 seconds adrift on the last lap, so we'll get that when it crosses the line there. So that depends on what strategy. That does have an implication. It depends what penalty they decide to apply to Yves Schmammer in the Taj for, if they do apply one at all, of course, for missing the pit window. No, see, that could be quite vital, because he'd have got in by about 30 seconds, I reckon. And McAllister's 49 seconds adrift, I think, as we cross the line now. So it wouldn't have made any difference in reality on the road had he got in just on time. But of course, the point is he didn't. It's outside the rules. It's outside the window. That's the issue. So, but the officials will decide what to adjudicate, what to put onto that, what penalty to apply.
But great to see that Mirage M6 with Chris McAllister having a very good run there to second place.
Caron third place in the Chevron B31.
Well, no, I'm pretty sure it's Patrick Simon driving it.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh no, sorry, Caron, you're right. Sorry, in the Chevron, then Patrick Simon. Yeah.
Patrick Simon in the Porsche 934/5, 1977, obviously like a crossover car. But so we've got a Taj Mirage and Chevron on the podium. And that concludes race 3 of our Plateau 6.
Pit stop infringement. One lap penalty after the race. There we are.
It's been decided. So that changes the order completely. So McAllister, it is that's on. Scratch what I've just said. McAllister in the Mirage M6 wins this race. Caron is in the Chevron B31. Number 7 is in second place, and that approaches Simon in the Porsche 934/5 into third place onto the podium.
Yeah, excellent. And that means that in this race, Schmammer will drop down to 22nd place. Oh, why take the chance?
Well, they'll rue the day. Oh, no! 36.312 BB LM into the gravel on the very last lap. That's Emmanuel Pirot's in that car, or on the list to drive that car. I'm guessing he's probably not in. And we can see looking into it there, open face helmet, hands on the head, just like, what have I done? Just on presumably on the last lap, and that is completely buried there. There's no damage to that car whatsoever, but a huge loss of pride for the driver there. See, Emmanuel Pirot, 5-time Le Mans winner, is listed in that car. I doubt he was actually in it at this particular point. But
here's this Puerto Rican car that ran with Puerto Rican drivers, two or three. Alex Paul the first year. I think it ran here 2 or 3 times. I think Alex Paul was in it one year. And here what would you describe that band? It's a
jazz band.
Unusual lineup, really, with the saxophone, bloke with the clarinet,
banjo, a saxophone, a trumpet, and a
tuba. Is it?
It's tuba? That's what it is, isn't it? Yeah.
Oh, that's great. And that's what this event's all about. I've got some friends that just enthusiasts out there, and text me they've been having the most marvellous time.
Well, that's the whole point of doing this. That's
look
exactly
at this.
What you're here for.
Auto gyro.
It doesn't look safe, does it?
It certainly does not.
I'm sure it is, but it doesn't look it.
More car still finish. I have to tell you, I came here one year working, and I put my camera up in one of those, because they're based just at the Le Mans airport. And he got some fantastic footage of the circuit from the auto gyro. There's the driver walking away with his. That's
not Pirot, is it?
No, that's the guy that was in the Ferrari, wasn't
it? I'm saying Pirot was down for that.
Pirot wouldn't wear a race suit with martini stripes on it, would he?
Do you know how much he was paid?
Well, yes.
I doubt. I'm not suggesting it's not unfair to
So
the
who was driving with Pirot now in that Ferrari? Go on. Oh yeah, highlights now.
Race start.
Off they go, race start, 70 cars, off they go. Up with McAllister getting a very good start. Toshi on the inside. Patrick Lafargue into second place. Lafargue goes down the inside at the beginning of this and takes the lead. McAllister goes a little bit wide, keeps on the track. Tosh in third place with Yves Schmammer. Lots of other action in this race. BMW M1 Pro Car well up there. into the chicane. The Porsche 935 going strongly. There, McAllister in the, just locking up a little bit. Had taken the lead, and then it was side by side as they came out the Mulsanne corner. Public road, of course, here, and then having the inside line for that fast left-hand kick, which I don't think has a name. The Vorsteiner back car got into the lead. We had this yellow Porsche raced in period by Puerto Ricans going well. There's the number 32, the 41 Chevron just nipping through, and that was Brewweiler. And they went very hard into the barrier, went the 55 Porsche. Snowy thought probably something had broken in the rear suspension. Then this was the key, really, the pit stop late outside the window for Shimama, and he gets the 1 lap penalty, as we've heard. Still great action going on down the field. But at the front, it was the flag unfurled for Yves Shimama, who won this event, as I said, 4 years ago, but takes a lap penalty. So that handed the victory in this race to Chris McAllister from, I think it comes from Texas, if I remember correctly. And that was it. So
great that they got that decision done very quickly, though. The
it was,
cars
yes,
are even on the slowing down lap still,
and they're
rather than
showing
waiting
it here
around.
on the, they're showing it correctly on here as well. So,
which of course knocks that car out.
Well,
of
I
the,
said 22nd, I think it went
out of the
down
top
to.
10, wasn't it?
Yeah,
yes. Well, it was a lap down, wasn't it? So
Sam Hancock, we think, was in the number 4 Ferrari, going nicely. Merlin, I've seen racing here in the main event recently. Lagrasse in 10th place. Quite a spread, just 2 minutes, almost a lap in the top 10. But so that's it. Fastest lap though to Shimama, be of little consolation, I think, on a 4:10. Tony Sinclair, is it Tony Sinclair? Sinclair in the 22 car. Yes, indeed, Tony Sinclair, British driver. And you see, Yves Shimama was also listed in the 33, so probably that's the one that Richard Mille was driving. So many stories here, aren't there, Snowy? With the almost 6 grids full of 60 cars, and then 4 support races all had 40 and 50 cars. To the summer, really, it was 600 odd cars racing here. And
exactly so, and it's always evolving as well.
Yeah, most of them got 2 and 3 drivers, so you're talking over 1,000 drivers. Some of them are better than others. Some of them here have won Le Mans. Well, some of them here have won, and we haven't mentioned him much, Jacques Lafitte, who's about 70. I know he's the same age as me. Grand Prix winners we've had here. We've Rene Arnoux. We've got Nelson Piquet, was sort of hidden somewhere in the entry list, had a little run with a couple of Brazilian mates, and got a nice interview with him, which we're going to hope to play on Midweek Motorsport. We had captains of industry. We've had the former Prime Minister of Belgian racing. We've had the Crown Prince of Denmark racing. We've had captains of industry. We've had the CEO of the Ford Motor Company.
Huge variety, from club racers to CEOs of major motor corporations. You couldn't get a huge. And that's the beauty of this kind of racing, is that you're going to have a variety in the cars. You're going to have a variety in the drivers as well, as you said, Andrew. There's 1,000 odd drivers here, probably a bit more than that actually. In the
I think there is more than that. I think there's maybe 1,100.
And there's naturally going to be a huge spread of just experience. Doesn't matter about talent, but a huge spread of experience there. As you say, anything from some people have probably done their first ones. We've seen, just off the top of my head, Tom Alexander, who races a DB4 GT a lot, and had his son James driving that car this morning. We came in as that race ended, but he had a great result, got down to a 5 minute 2 seconds. He's only 20 years old, done a little bit of racing in a Porsche 968. Then being trusted with his father's DB4 DB4 GT.
Yep.
Similar to a 968, just slightly different in value, just slightly. And then, so you've got James just done that in his first real race at Le Mans in an Aston Martin DB4 GT.
Yeah.
Then you've got Emmanuel Pelliu, 5-time winner of the big race.
Yeah,
I mean, you couldn't get a bigger spread of experience. And
Marco Werner, 3 times winner. We had
and everybody in between.
No, so absolutely terrific. Unlike the historic meetings that we tend to go to, of course, in the UK, it is all about sports cars.
Yes.
So the fans there getting a good look round. It's a bit like Goodwood, there's some fantastic cars out in the car park.
Well, Alpine car park there on view, some modern A110s, so the modern iteration of the car from the 70s, and some of the older ones from the 70s and 80s. I had a GTA V6 back in 1989.
Yeah,
it was a fantastic car.
I've been driven in one, but...
the problem it went was it was a company car, so we had to go back when I changed jobs.
Was it? Yeah, I had to go back to... That's a nice crash helmet design there with the Union Jack, so they're getting ready for the next plateau. We're not going to be calling that one.
Yeah, we're going to go off air very shortly, and we're coming back with Plateau 5.
Yes.
Sorry, no, Plateau 3 later on.
Yep. So, yeah, and now looking in the control room, that's an interesting shot, and they've got a camera in there. These guys have had 2 teams of people, been working all night, doing a terrific job. So we've had